If you want to connect with anyone, anywhere, you need more than just words. You need confidence and clear communication skills that work every time. Have you ever felt nervous speaking to someone new, or struggled to express yourself the way you truly want? You're not alone, and the good news is, speaking with confidence is something you can learn and get better at every single day. Imagine walking into any room and knowing exactly how to start a conversation that feels natural and leaves a strong impression. In this video, you'll discover practical steps to build your speaking skills, how to practice so you improve fast, and ways to handle tough situations with calm and control. If you're ready to stop holding back and start speaking up with power and clarity, keep watching. This is your chance to master communication and open doors you never thought possible. Chapter 1. Build genuine curiosity to connect deeply with others. There is a powerful truth in human connection that often goes unnoticed. When genuine curiosity takes hold, it transforms every conversation, every encounter, and ultimately your entire life. Most people approach speaking to others with a script in their mind, rehearsing what to say, how to sound smart, or how to impress. This surface-level interaction leaves conversations flat, leaving both sides feeling unseen and unheard. Real connection, the kind that lights up a room and leaves a lasting impact, begins not with what you say, but with how deeply you care to know the other person. Curiosity is the secret weapon that unlocks this level of connection, and mastering it will change how you speak to anyone with confidence. Imagine walking into a room and effortlessly engaging with strangers, old friends, or even difficult acquaintances, because your mind is open and genuinely interested. Your conversations flow naturally, filled with thoughtful questions and sincere attention. The anxiety about what to say disappears because your focus is on understanding, not performing. This is not just wishful thinking, it is a skill, a mindset that can be trained and strengthened. The path to becoming a confident speaker who connects deeply starts with building genuine curiosity. Curiosity is more than just asking questions, it is an active, intentional way of being with others. It requires stepping outside your own inner world, your ego, and your assumptions. Instead of waiting for your turn to talk, or silently planning your next statement, curiosity calls you to truly listen and seek to understand. When you are curious, you do not judge or dismiss what you hear. You embrace the unknown, the differences, the vulnerabilities that make people human. This shift is radical because it dismantles the walls that separate us. To build this kind of curiosity, begin with an honest self-check. Notice how often your mind drifts to your own thoughts when someone else is speaking. This is normal, but it's also a habit you can change. Start small by practicing silent observation. When you meet someone new, or even talk to someone familiar, focus fully on their words, tone, and body language. Resist the urge to formulate your response right away. Instead, absorb what they are sharing. Pay attention to the emotions behind the words. This practice rewires your brain to be present and attentive, the foundation of curiosity. Curiosity also means being comfortable with not knowing. Often, conversations stall because we rush to fill silence or pretend we have all the answers. Embracing uncertainty invites richer dialogue. When you admit you don't know something, it opens a door for the other person to share more, to teach you, and to feel valued. This vulnerability builds trust. It also keeps your mind flexible and engaged rather than closed off and defensive. A practical way to cultivate genuine curiosity is through asking open-ended questions. These are questions that cannot be answered with a simple yes or no. They invite elaboration, reflection, and storytelling. Instead of "Did you have a good weekend?" try "What was the best part of your weekend?" Or what did you learn from your weekend activities? Such questions encourage people to share something meaningful, something personal. They also give you a window into their world and values. Listening well after asking these questions is crucial. Curiosity is incomplete without empathy. When someone shares, imagine stepping into their shoes, feel their excitement, disappointment, or passion. Let their experience resonate with your own humanity. This emotional connection makes conversations richer and deeper. It signals to the other person that you care not just about words but about them as a person. This is the essence of confident communication, showing up fully without pretense. Building genuine curiosity also requires dropping judgment. It is easy to dismiss ideas or opinions that differ from ours, yet true curiosity flourishes when we suspend judgment and allow for different perspectives. This does not mean abandoning your own values, but rather holding them lightly while genuinely exploring another's view. This openness expands your understanding of the world and enhances your ability to relate to diverse people. When you approach conversations without the need to prove yourself right, you create space for mutual respect and learning. To strengthen curiosity, embrace a beginner's mindset. This means seeing every interaction as a chance to learn something new regardless of how experienced you are in social situations. No matter how confident or skilled you become, there is always room to grow. Approaching conversations as opportunities to discover, rather than just exchange information, keeps your mind sharp and your spirit humble. It prevents the trap of complacency that dulls connection. Real curiosity also thrives on genuine compliments and observations. Notice something unique or positive about the person you are speaking with, their energy, a perspective they shared, or even the way they express themselves. Pointing this out sincerely not only boosts the other person's confidence, but also signals your attentiveness and interest. It makes conversations more enjoyable and memorable for both parties. Practical application of genuine curiosity starts with daily commitment. Challenge yourself each day to connect with at least one person differently than before. It could be a colleague, a family member, or a stranger. Before engaging, remind yourself to listen deeply, ask thoughtful questions, and suspend judgment. Notice how this shifts the energy and outcome of your conversations. Reflect on what you learned about the other person and about yourself. This practice, repeated consistently, rewires your social habits toward authentic connection. Another key is managing your internal dialogue. Curiosity can be blocked by fear or self-consciousness. You might worry about sounding intrusive or awkward. These fears are natural but unfounded when your intention is genuine interest rather than interrogation. Remind yourself that people respond positively to sincere attention. Most people long to be heard and understood. Your curiosity fills this need and builds bridges where walls once stood. It also helps to prepare a mental list of open-ended questions and prompts that feel natural to you. This list can be a toolkit to draw from when conversations feel stuck. Over time, as your curiosity deepens, you will find these questions flowing spontaneously. The goal is not to use questions as a checklist but as invitations for meaningful exchange. Curiosity is transformative not only for your relationships but also for your personal growth. It expands your awareness, challenges your assumptions, and deepens your emotional intelligence. Each conversation becomes a chance to practice humility, patience, and kindness. These qualities strengthen your resilience and enrich your daily life. You begin to see communication not as a performance but as a gift, a way to learn, connect, and grow. When curiosity is authentic, it cultivates confidence from within. You no longer need to impress or dominate conversations. Your presence and attentiveness speak volumes. This kind of confidence is quiet but powerful. It invites others in rather than pushing them away. It creates a space where ideas and emotions can flow freely. This freedom is the foundation of effective communication. To stay motivated, reflect on past conversations where you felt truly connected and heard. Remember the feelings of warmth, understanding, and trust. Use these memories as fuel to keep building curiosity. Celebrate small wins, like making a new acquaintance feel comfortable, or discovering something surprising about someone you thought you knew. These moments are proof that genuine curiosity works. In moments of doubt, recall that curiosity is a choice you make every time you speak. It requires effort but offers rich rewards. It is a discipline that can be cultivated like any skill. The Stoics remind us that mastery begins with small, consistent actions. Speaking confidently and connecting deeply is no different. Each conversation is a step on this journey. Ultimately, building genuine curiosity is about mastering yourself as much as mastering communication. It calls for quieting your ego, opening your heart, and sharpening your mind. It means prioritizing connection over control and understanding over judgment. This mindset shift transforms not only how you speak but who you become. It makes you more resilient, compassionate, and wise. This chapter is an invitation to practice curiosity as a daily habit. Start now by observing one person in your life with fresh eyes. Ask yourself what you truly want to know about them beyond surface small talk. Hold space for their story without rushing or interrupting. Notice how this simple act shifts your experience. Repeat this consistently and watch your confidence soar. The power to speak to anyone with confidence begins with the desire to know them deeply. Genuine curiosity is your gateway to that power. It is not about changing others but about changing how you engage with the world. When curiosity leads, conversations become opportunities, relationships become richer, and life becomes more meaningful. This is the first step on a path of lifelong growth and connection. Take it with intention and courage. Chapter 2. Practice active listening to understand before responding. Most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand, and that's why most people never truly connect. If you want to transform your conversations, your relationships, and the way people respond to you, then it begins with this truth. Learning how to truly listen is more powerful than knowing what to say. Active listening is not about being quiet while the other person speaks. It's about being fully present. It's about being disciplined enough to silence the voice in your own head long enough to hear someone else's world. That takes more strength than dominating a conversation, because it's easy to speak, but it takes control, humility, and patience to fully understand someone before responding. Most people have never been heard in their life. You want to become someone who gives people that gift, not to impress them, but to build something real. When someone speaks, there's always more than just words. There's emotion, there's meaning between the lines. There are insecurities, fears, dreams, and struggles hiding behind what they choose to say and how they say it. And if you're not paying attention, if you're just waiting for your turn to speak, you'll miss all of it. You'll miss the chance to really understand what that person is trying to share with you. If you want to be respected, trusted, and remembered, train yourself to care enough to hear what others are really saying. When someone feels understood, walls come down, defensiveness fades, trust is born, and that trust is what opens the door to deeper conversations, influence, and real connection. Think about the last time someone really listened to you, not someone who nodded while looking at their phone, not someone who gave you generic advice, but someone who gave you their complete attention, looked you in the eye, and truly tried to understand your perspective. That moment probably felt rare, maybe even healing. That's the power of active listening. It makes people feel seen. And most of the time people aren't asking for advice. They just want to feel understood. The discipline of active listening means you don't interrupt. You don't judge. You don't try to fix or outdo their story. You pause your own ego and become a mirror that reflects back their thoughts, their emotions, their reality. When you listen like that, something powerful happens. People open up. They drop their guard. They go deeper. And the conversation stops being small talk and starts being real talk. It takes effort to stop planning your response while someone is still speaking. It takes awareness to catch yourself when your mind wanders. But that's the practice. The more you catch yourself drifting, the stronger your focus becomes over time. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. Every moment you give someone your undivided attention, you build a bridge of trust that words alone can't create. Listening to understand means asking questions that invite more depth, not questions that just fill silence. Instead of rushing to your own opinion, ask, "What was that like for you?" or "Can you tell me more about that?" You give people space to express things they may not even realize they needed to say. And when you do that, you become someone they want to talk to, not because you're entertaining, but because you're real. People are starving for connection in a noisy world. They don't need more talking heads. They need people who are present, people who make them feel heard, not judged. People who see them, not just for who they are, but for who they're trying to become. That's what active listening gives you the power to do, not just to hear someone's words, but to see their heart behind those words. One of the greatest forms of respect is listening. When you interrupt someone, what you're saying is, "What I have to say is more important than what you're trying to express." But when you listen fully, without cutting in, without rushing them to finish, you show them that their thoughts matter. You show them that you value their voice. That's what makes them open up. That's what builds real influence, not manipulation, but presence. To practice active listening, you have to train your mind to slow down. You have to catch the habits that sabotage presence, like the urge to multitask, the itch to check your phone, the habit of thinking about your own response while the other person is mid-sentence. These are all signs that you're not fully listening. But the beauty is that once you become aware, you can take control. You can bring yourself back into the moment. There's a calm power that comes from listening more than you speak. It makes you wiser. It teaches you things you never knew you needed to know. You learn people. You learn emotions. You learn how to sense what's being said. And more importantly, what's not being said. That kind of awareness gives you a powerful advantage in life. It makes you better in relationships, in leadership, in negotiations, and in everyday conversation. And here's something else. When you listen deeply, you learn how to respond with impact. Not just reacting, but responding with thought, clarity, and purpose. Because now you're not guessing. You know what matters to the other person. You've seen their concerns. You've heard their story. And now you can speak into that space with confidence, because you're not speaking at them. You're speaking to what's real for them. This is why great leaders, great friends, and great communicators are often quiet before they speak. They observe, they listen, they absorb everything. Then when they speak, their words carry weight, not because they talked a lot, but because they understood deeply. That's the kind of person you want to become. Not someone who says the most, but someone who speaks with precision and meaning, because they took the time to listen first. The way you listen teaches people how safe it is to be themselves around you. If you listen with judgment, people shrink. If you listen with ego, people hide. But if you listen with openness, People bloom. They say things they've never said before. They become more of who they are. And in turn you get to see people's real character, not their mask, but their truth. This kind of listening requires humility. It means admitting that you don't have all the answers, that your perspective is just one perspective, that someone else's experience might challenge your assumptions, and that's not a threat, it's an opportunity. An opportunity to grow, to expand, to become wiser by seeing through another person's eyes. Every time you truly listen, you get to learn something new, if you're willing. Most people only hear words, but those who are disciplined enough to listen beyond the words gain a rare kind of influence. They become trusted. They become sought out, because they're not just interested in impressing people, they're interested in understanding them. And understanding always leads to connection. There is a kind of silence that makes people uncomfortable, but there's also a kind of silence that makes people feel safe. When you pause and hold space for someone to finish their thought, when you give them the room to breathe without rushing in, you're creating that safe silence. And often, that silence is where the most important truths emerge. You don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to have the most impact. You just need to be the one who listens best. Because people don't remember every word you said. They remember how you made them feel. And when you make someone feel truly heard, they will never forget you. Every great communicator you admire, whether in relationships, in business, or on stage, has mastered this simple truth. Understanding must come before expression. You cannot influence someone you don't understand. And you cannot understand someone unless you've trained yourself to listen with patience, presence, and humility. So the next time you're in a conversation, don't think about what to say next. Don't try to sound smart. Don't try to impress. Just focus on one thing: understanding. Be curious. Be present, be fully there, because in that space transformation happens, not just for the person speaking, but for you too. You will become sharper. You will develop instincts for truth. You'll begin to feel what people mean, not just what they say. And that awareness will elevate every area of your life. It will change the way you lead, the way you love, the way you connect. This is not just a communication skill. This is a life skill, a success skill, a human connection skill. And if you want to build trust, deepen relationships, and influence others in a way that's lasting and real, this is where it begins. The discipline to listen, the patience to understand, the strength to pause, and the wisdom to speak only after you've heard what matters most. So from this day forward, don't just hear people, listen to them. Listen with the kind of focus that silences your ego. Listen with the kind of presence that makes others feel valued. Listen not to fix or advise, but to learn and understand, because the people who master the art of active listening become the ones others lean on, open up to, and follow. Not because they talk the most, but because they listen best. Chapter 3. Develop clear and concise ways to express yourself. If people can't understand you, they can't follow you. And if you can't explain yourself clearly, your voice will get lost in the noise. In a world overwhelmed by information, the ability to express yourself with sharp clarity is not just helpful, it's a necessity. You don't get second chances to make your message land. You either speak in a way that gets remembered, or you vanish into confusion. And when you train yourself to communicate with strength, precision, and simplicity, everything changes. Your confidence rises when your words match your thoughts. Your influence grows when your message is understood without confusion. Your relationships deepen when others don't have to guess what you mean. Most of the world communicates with vague, scattered words. They ramble, over-explain, and hide behind filler. But the ones who break through, the ones who move people, are those who can say exactly what needs to be said, in the fewest and clearest words possible. Clear expression starts with clear thinking. If your thoughts are messy, your words will be too. That's why before you speak, you must know exactly what your message is. What are you trying to say? What do you want the other person to feel, do, or understand? Strip away everything extra. Get to the core. Simplicity is not weakness. Simplicity is power. It forces you to know what you mean before you say it. The people who ramble don't lack intelligence. They lack discipline. They haven't trained themselves to think through what matters. So they talk in circles, hoping the other person will figure it out. But strong communication is not about hoping your message is received. It's about making it undeniable. It's about respecting your listener enough to give them clarity, not confusion. When you speak, every word counts. Every pause matters. Every phrase either builds understanding or weakens it. People don't remember long explanations. They remember sharp statements, and you don't need to use big words or sound overly intellectual. What you need is impact, precision, purpose. Remove the fluff. Speak with intent. Make your point land in the first few seconds. When you express yourself, get to the point without being cold. You can be direct without being harsh. You can be clear without sounding robotic. That's the balance of strong expression. Your words are clean, but your tone is real. People can feel your honesty. They can hear your conviction. They can sense that you mean what you say. This kind of communication requires practice. It doesn't come from talking more. It comes from thinking better. Start by watching how you speak in daily life. Notice when you over-explain. Notice when you hesitate. Notice when you use vague language, like sort of, kind of, or I don't know, maybe. Catch those patterns. Then tighten them. Replace hesitation with certainty. Replace vagueness with clarity. Replace rambling with structured thought. Speak in a way that respects your time and the other person's. Get comfortable with silence while you think. You don't have to rush to fill space. Pausing before you speak shows strength. It shows you value your words enough to think them through. And when you do speak, make it count. Make your words land. Make them impossible to misinterpret. Your ability to express yourself will shape how people treat you. If you speak with clarity, people will take you seriously. If you explain yourself clearly, you'll avoid misunderstandings. If you communicate with strength, people will feel your presence. And it doesn't matter if it's in a meeting, a conversation, or a message, you must own your words. A weak message creates confusion, and confusion leads to frustration, misalignment, and missed opportunities. But a strong message creates direction. It creates trust. It creates results. That's why you must train yourself to sharpen your expression like a blade. Cut through noise. Eliminate filler. Say what matters, and say it in a way that sticks. Some people think being concise means being cold or emotionless. That's wrong. You can be concise and still be warm. You can be brief and still be powerful. In fact, your words often hit harder when they're clean and uncluttered. The message gets through without resistance, and the more you master this, the more respect you earn without forcing it. When you're clear with your words, you're clear with your life. People stop asking what you meant. They stop guessing where you stand. They stop misunderstanding your intentions, and you stop wasting energy cleaning up confusion. Your time becomes more focused, your decisions more effective, your presence more respected. Because people know you're someone who means what they say, and says only what needs to be said. This isn't just about speaking, it's about writing too. When you write messages, emails, texts, don't overload them with unnecessary words. Be clear, be direct, be intentional. Most people drown their message in fluff. They try to sound smart, but sounding smart doesn't move people. Being clear does. Remove what's extra. Say what you mean, then stop. You don't need to justify every word. You don't need to explain your entire thought process every time. Get used to letting your words breathe. Trust that if your message is clear, it will stand on its own. Clarity builds authority. And authority doesn't beg to be understood. It commands it. Start practicing by asking yourself, if I only had one sentence to express this idea, how would I say it? That exercise forces you to find the essence, and once you can say it in one sentence, everything else becomes easier. You gain control over your communication. You stop rambling. You start leading. Strong expression is not about talking more, it's about talking better. Say less, mean more. Use fewer words, deliver greater impact. Every word should carry weight. Every sentence should drive the message. Eliminate the noise, amplify the signal. That's how your message gets remembered. And remember, people don't just listen with their ears, they listen with their emotions. If your words are full of doubt, hesitation or confusion, they feel that. If your words are clear, direct and filled with purpose, they feel that too. So speak with belief, speak with energy, speak with self-respect. When you believe in your message, others will too. You have something to say, something important. But if your message is buried under clutter, no one will hear it. Don't let your voice be drowned in uncertainty. Don't let your words work against you. Take control of how you express yourself. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, refine how you speak. Refine how you write. Refine how you show up. Start noticing the difference between when people listen and when they tune out. Pay attention to the power of silence, the effect of strong sentences, the impact of presence. Watch what lands. Study what works. Then practice it until it becomes your new standard. It won't be easy at first. You'll catch yourself slipping into old habits. You'll notice your thoughts scatter. But with repetition, clarity becomes your instinct. With focus, strength becomes your tone. With intention, impact becomes your result. And when you master this, when your words are clean, clear, and confident, you won't need to talk louder. You won't need to convince anyone. You'll speak once, and they'll understand. You'll explain, and they'll follow. You'll lead, and they'll respect it. People trust clarity. People respond to confidence. People follow those who speak with purpose. And that's what you're building. The skill to communicate in a way that inspires action, earns respect, and leaves no room for confusion. So don't wait. Don't doubt. Start now. Train yourself to be the kind of person who doesn't just talk but expresses truth with precision. This one skill, developing clear and concise expression, will elevate everything. Your career, your relationships, your leadership, your life. Because when your words are sharp, your world becomes sharper. And that clarity will lead you exactly where you want to go. Chapter 4. Cultivate confident body language that invites engagement. People see you before they hear you, and your body speaks long before your mouth does. If you want to be taken seriously, if you want people to feel your presence the moment you walk into a room, then you must train your body to communicate strength, certainty, and openness. Confidence isn't just something you say, it's something you show. And those who learn how to move, stand, and present themselves with power are the ones who instantly command attention without begging for it. You don't need to be loud to be noticed. You need to be solid. You don't have to be perfect. You have to be composed. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You need to show that you agree with yourself. That's what body language reveals. It reflects your inner world in a way that words never could. You can fake a smile, but you can't fake presence. You can rehearse a speech, but you can't rehearse integrity. That's why body language is one of the most powerful tools you'll ever own. Look around. Most people slouch, their eyes dart around, their hands fidget, their posture collapses into insecurity. Without even saying a word, they've told the world, "I'm unsure of myself." And when the body gives off weakness, the message gets dismissed. But when your body radiates certainty, when your posture stands firm, your head stays high, your eye contact is steady, you don't have to say much at all. You walk in and people feel that you're someone worth listening to. The way you carry yourself influences how others treat you, how they respond to you, and how they remember you. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who didn't say much, but their posture, energy, and focus made you instantly respect them? That's not an accident. That's the power of practiced presence. That's what happens when your body language aligns with your confidence. And the good news is, this can be developed. Confidence is not something you're born with. It's something you build, step by step, through deliberate action. The moment you start paying attention to how you sit, stand, walk, and hold yourself, you begin changing the signals you send to the world. And more importantly, you change how you feel about yourself. Straighten your back, lift your chin, take up space, ground your feet, move with intention. Make eye contact that shows you're listening, not just watching. These are simple actions, but they make a massive difference, because they don't just shape how others see you, they shape how you see yourself. Your body trains your mind. If you carry yourself like someone who matters, you begin to believe it. And when you believe it, others follow that lead. Confident body language is not about arrogance. It's not about being stiff or robotic. It's not about being fake. It's about being in control of your energy. It's about being rooted in self-respect. When you take command of your body, you stop apologizing for existing. You stop shrinking to fit someone else's comfort zone. You stop seeking approval. Instead, you begin inviting engagement. You begin showing people that you're worth connecting with, not because of your words, but because of the energy you carry. And that energy isn't loud, it's stable, it doesn't chase attention, it earns it. You don't have to prove yourself when your presence already does. That's why people who cultivate strong body language often speak less, but say more. Their silence carries weight. Their gestures are clean, minimal, and precise. Their stillness radiates confidence, and it's not because they're trying to impress anyone. It's because they've done the work to believe in themselves. Everything starts with awareness. Begin observing your body like an outsider. Notice how you stand when you feel uncertain. Notice what your hands do when you're nervous. Notice how your posture shifts when you walk into a room of people. That self-observation is the foundation, because once you see the patterns, you can break them. And when you break them, you build new ones that serve you better. Practice keeping your shoulders back and your chest open, not in a forced way, but in a relaxed, powerful way. Practice keeping your head level, not tilted down. Practice stillness. Stillness is underrated. Most people are constantly in motion, shifting, twitching, looking around. But the one who can stay still, centered and calm under pressure, that's the one who controls the room. And remember, your facial expressions matter just as much. A neutral, relaxed face projects control. A soft but direct gaze signals connection. A slight smile, not one that begs for approval, but one that reflects quiet confidence, can break down walls. You don't need to exaggerate anything. Real confidence never looks forced. It looks calm. It looks grounded. And when it's time to move, move with purpose. Don't fidget. Don't over-gesture. Don't shrink. Move like someone who knows where they're going, even if they don't yet. Stand like someone who's already earned their place, even if you're just getting started. Because eventually you will catch up to the image you project, if you keep aligning your actions with your vision. This isn't just about posture, it's about identity. How you show up physically shapes how you live emotionally. If you walk like a leader, you start to think like one. If you stand like someone with self-worth, you start acting like it. Your body teaches your brain, and the more you align your physical presence with your inner standards, the more powerful you become. When you train your body language, you're not pretending to be someone else. You're stripping away everything that's held you back from being fully yourself. You're removing the hesitation, the doubt, the fear of judgment. You're stepping into the version of you that's already capable, already worthy, already strong. And that version doesn't beg for attention, it attracts it. The world is drawn to people who are comfortable in their own skin, and comfort doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being real, from knowing that you don't have to shrink or hide, from knowing that you have something to offer, from knowing that your voice matters and your presence adds value. That's what confident body language communicates without saying a single word. So when you walk into your next conversation, let your body speak first. Let it speak assurance. Let it speak integrity. Let it speak strength. Stand tall, not to intimidate, but to demonstrate inner control. Breathe deeply, not to look calm, but to actually be calm. Make eye contact, not to challenge, but to connect. Use your hands sparingly, but deliberately. And above all, be grounded. Grounded in who you are. Grounded in what you believe. Grounded in the moment. People respond to that. They may not consciously understand why, but they feel it. They lean in. They listen more closely. They open up, because your body language tells them, you're safe here, you're respected here, you're speaking to someone who's present. Confidence is not noise. Confidence is presence. Confidence is calm. Confidence is stillness. And you can cultivate all of it through your body. Not one time. Every time. Not just when you feel good. Especially when you don't. Because that's when it matters most. When you're tired, unsure or under pressure. That's when training takes over. That's when presence protects you. That's when confidence carries you. Train your posture until it becomes automatic. Train your eye contact until it becomes natural. Train your stillness until it feels like strength. And train your energy until it invites people toward you, not pushes them away. That's how leaders are made. That's how trust is earned. That's how opportunities open. Your body is your first message. Make sure it's saying what you mean. Make sure it reflects who you want to be. Make sure it shows the world that you're someone who believes in themselves without ever needing to say it out loud. Chapter 5. Master asking powerful questions that spark meaningful conversations. The fastest way to become unforgettable in any conversation is to stop trying to impress and start learning how to ask the right questions. Most people talk to be heard, but those who master the art of asking powerful questions become magnetic. They create connection. They unlock deeper layers of people's thoughts. They go beyond surface-level small talk and tap into something real. And that's where relationships, influence, and respect are built, through conversations that matter. You don't need to dominate a conversation to lead it. You need to guide it with curiosity, not control. When you ask questions that make people pause, reflect, and open up, you shift the entire dynamic. You give the other person permission to go deeper. You create space for honesty. And that space is where trust grows. It's where understanding forms. It's where real conversations begin. Think about the last time someone truly asked you a meaningful question, one that made you think, not just react. Maybe it surprised you. Maybe it challenged you. Maybe it showed that they actually cared about what you had to say. That's the impact of a powerful question. It moves the conversation out of autopilot and into something authentic. It breaks the rhythm of surface talk and turns the moment into something that matters. Most people ask questions just to fill silence. How's it going? What's new? Busy day. These are safe, automatic, and forgettable. But powerful questions are intentional. They're designed to reveal something valuable. They're rooted in curiosity, not convenience. And when you learn how to ask them, you elevate every conversation you're part of. You stop being just another voice and become someone who pulls clarity, insight, and depth out of others. Questions can unlock someone's purpose. They can challenge limiting beliefs. They can create breakthroughs, but only if you care enough to ask them with presence. Don't just throw out words to sound smart. Ask questions that create impact. Questions like, what's been on your mind lately that you haven't talked about? What's something you've learned recently that shifted how you see the world? What's a challenge you're proud of overcoming that most people don't know about? These kinds of questions invite people to drop their guard and reveal something real. And here's the truth: when you ask deep questions, people associate that depth with you. They remember how you made them feel. They remember the insight they got because you pulled it out of them, and they feel seen, heard, and valued. That's what sets you apart. Not how much you say, but how deeply you listen and how precisely you ask. Mastering powerful questions requires more than memorizing a list. It takes intention. It takes genuine interest. It takes being fully present in the moment and noticing what someone is really saying, not just their words but their tone, their emotion, their silence. Great questions don't come from your mouth first. They come from your attention. You have to listen so closely that the next question reveals itself. When someone tells you about a goal, don't just nod and move on. Ask them why that goal matters. Ask them how they plan to get there. Ask them what's holding them back. Ask them what would change if they actually achieved it. These kinds of follow-up questions go beneath the surface and show that you're not just hearing them, you're engaged. And when someone opens up about a struggle, don't rush to fix it. Ask questions that help them reflect. What's the hardest part about that for you right now? What have you tried so far that's helped? What would support look like for you? These are the kinds of questions that build connection and trust, because they come from empathy, not ego. Great questions don't need to be complex. They just need to be honest. Sometimes the most powerful questions are also the simplest. What do you need right now? What are you afraid of? What's most important to you in this season of your life? These are questions that bypass small talk and go straight to the heart. The key is not just what you ask, but how you ask. Your tone matters. Your timing matters. Your presence matters. If you ask with judgment, people shut down. But if you ask with genuine care, people open up. If you ask to expose someone, they'll resist. But if you ask to understand them, they'll trust you. That's the difference between manipulation and connection. And don't ask questions you're not ready to sit with. If you ask something deep, be prepared for silence. Be patient. Don't rush to fill the gap. Let the question land. Let the other person breathe. Let them search for their truth. That pause might feel uncomfortable, but it's in that pause where honesty is born. The longer you can hold space, the deeper the response you'll receive. When you make powerful questions a habit, you become a better leader, a better partner, a better communicator. You become someone who helps people think more clearly and feel more understood. And that's one of the greatest gifts you can give: your presence, your attention, and your ability to unlock someone's inner clarity through the questions you ask. In every conversation, there's an opportunity to spark something meaningful. It's not about having the right answers, it's about asking the right questions. Questions that don't just skim the surface, but dive into the truth. Questions that don't just move the conversation forward, but make it worth remembering. That's the difference between noise and impact, between passing time and creating value. Start by becoming curious again. Drop the need to always sound impressive. Let go of the pressure to always have something clever to say. Instead, be the one who seeks to understand. Be the one who listens deeply. Be the one who pauses before responding. And in that pause, let your questions rise, not from habit, but from heart. Ask about what matters. Ask about what's unspoken. Ask about what lights someone up or weighs them down. Ask with care. Ask with presence. Ask with courage. And then listen like their answer could change your life, because sometimes it just might. This is how meaningful conversations are built. Not with volume, but with value. Not with performance, but with purpose. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. You'll find yourself drawing people in, not because of how you speak, but because of how you ask. You'll become a mirror that reflects others back to themselves, clearer, more confident, more aware. That's the power of asking well. It doesn't just connect you to others, it transforms them. It transforms you. Because when you become the kind of person who seeks truth, you start to speak it. When you become the kind of person who invites depth, you start to live with it. And when you make asking meaningful questions a daily practice, you begin to shape every interaction into something that matters. Chapter 6. Learn to manage anxiety and speak calmly under pressure. If you can learn to stay calm when your heart is racing, when your palms are sweaty, and when the pressure feels unbearable, you win. Not just the moment, you win your future. Because anyone can perform when it's easy. Anyone can speak clearly when they feel safe. But real growth, real power, is built in the fire. It's built when you choose to steady your breath, speak with presence, and show up with clarity when your mind wants to run away. The truth is, pressure doesn't destroy you, your reaction to it does. Most people panic, not because the situation is too intense, but because they haven't trained themselves to slow down their internal chaos. They haven't built that calm core, that center of gravity, that unshakable space within themselves where clarity lives, no matter what's going on outside. If you want to stand out in this noisy world, you need to become someone who doesn't crumble in chaos. You need to become someone who can face tension and still express themselves with composure. That's what separates leaders from the rest. It's not about being fearless. It's about being steady in the face of fear. It's about being able to organize your thoughts, access your voice, and deliver your message clearly, even when your nerves are screaming. Anxiety doesn't go away because you wish it would. It weakens because you face it again and again until it learns that you're not afraid of it anymore. Every time you speak when your voice is shaking, you take back power. Every time you breathe through a storm, instead of running from it, you grow more unshakable. And that confidence begins to show in the way you stand, in the way you listen, in the way you respond, instead of react. To speak calmly under pressure, you have to stop giving your power to the fear of what could go wrong. You need to bring your focus back to what you can control: your breath, your tone, your words, your posture. You can't control how people will receive your message, but you can control how clearly you deliver it. You can slow your breath so your mind doesn't race. You can ground yourself so your presence stabilizes the moment. And when you do that consistently, pressure starts to feel familiar, not like a threat, but like a signal that you're growing. When you speak under stress, don't try to fake confidence. That's what people get wrong. They try to mask their anxiety with bravado. But real calm comes from acceptance, not avoidance. Accept that you feel nervous. Acknowledge that your body is responding, and then decide to act anyway. Breathe, pause, speak slower. Let your words come from a place of intention, not impulse. That pause is your power. It creates space between the pressure and your performance. The people who command the most respect are often the ones who say less, but with more weight. They don't rush to fill silence. They don't over-explain. They don't let anxiety dictate their pace. They choose their words. They own their rhythm. And because of that, people listen. People lean in. Because calm communicates strength. It signals control. And in moments of chaos, that calm presence becomes magnetic. You don't need to eliminate anxiety forever. You just need to manage it well enough that it no longer hijacks your ability to speak with clarity. That's a practice. It's a skill. And like any skill, it gets stronger with repetition. The more you expose yourself to pressure without retreating, the more comfortable you become in discomfort. You start to trust yourself. You start to realize that nerves are just energy, and you can channel that energy into clarity, not confusion. Before high-pressure conversations, prepare yourself mentally. Don't rehearse a perfect script. Anchor yourself in the message you believe in. Speak from conviction, not memory. Your calm comes from knowing why you're speaking, not just what you're going to say. When you believe in your message, anxiety has less room to take over. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about being aligned. When your message is true to you, your body follows your mind's leadership. Use your breath as your foundation. Most people underestimate how much power is hidden in a deep, slow breath. When pressure hits, your breathing gets shallow. Your chest tightens. Your words get rushed. But if you train yourself to breathe through the discomfort, everything changes. That breath signals your nervous system to slow down. It grounds you. It gives you control. And in that state, your mind can focus, your voice can stabilize, and your message can land. There will be times when everything feels like it's falling apart. When your heart is pounding. When you're afraid of saying the wrong thing. That's when you have to remind yourself, you've trained for this. You've faced fear before. You've walked into pressure and found your voice inside it. So instead of shrinking, you expand. Instead of rushing, you slow down. Instead of panicking, you remember that fear is just feedback, not a command. And the more you walk into those moments, the more confident you become. Not because the fear disappears, but because you stop being afraid of it. You've already survived every anxious moment in your life so far. Now it's time to thrive through them. To become the person who doesn't just speak well when it's easy, but the person who leads conversations when it's hard. When you're calm under pressure, you influence the entire room. Your steadiness becomes contagious. You become the person people trust when things go sideways. Not because you have all the answers, but because you don't lose yourself in the chaos. You stay present. You speak clearly. You hold the room. That kind of presence is rare, and rare is valuable. Every time you feel anxiety rise, let it be a signal, not that you're in danger, but that you're on the edge of growth. That this is a moment that will either build your confidence or shrink it. Choose growth. Choose to breathe. Choose to stay in the moment. Choose to speak, not to impress but to express. Let your words be simple. Let them be honest, and trust that calm is more powerful than cleverness. The people who rise under pressure are not the ones who try to avoid fear. They're the ones who face it, feel it, and still move forward with intention. You have that in you. You've already overcome more than you give yourself credit for. Now it's time to develop a new relationship with pressure, not as something to escape, but as a forge that refines your clarity, your poise, and your voice. This is your edge. This is where you grow. Every anxious moment is a training ground. Every high-stress situation is a rehearsal for the confidence you're building. Don't waste those moments by retreating. Use them. Let them sharpen your focus. Let them deepen your breath. Let them reveal just how steady you can become. Because the more you speak calmly under pressure, the more powerfully your voice will carry. And not just in words, but in presence, in energy, in the way people feel when they're around you. And that impact, once built, lasts far beyond the moment. It becomes part of who you are. A calm force in a chaotic world. A voice of reason in the storm. A presence that doesn't flinch, but leads. Chapter 7. Use storytelling techniques to captivate and influence listeners. Stories are the most powerful tool you have to influence, connect, and leave a lasting impact. And if you don't learn how to tell yours, someone else will define your voice for you. People forget facts. They forget data. They forget long explanations. But they remember a good story. They remember how you made them feel. They remember the image you painted in their mind. They remember the emotion you stirred in their chest. That's your advantage. That's how you grab their attention and hold it. When you speak in stories, you bypass resistance. You don't force someone to agree with you. You invite them into an experience. You allow them to see the world through your eyes for a moment, and if you do it well, that moment can shift their thinking forever. You don't have to be a writer, a speaker, or a performer to master storytelling. You just need to know how to be real. You need to know how to bring a moment to life with purpose, precision, and presence. You've lived through moments that taught you lessons no textbook could replicate. Those moments of pain, of triumph, of realization are the gold. That's where your influence lives. Because when you share from those places, people stop scrolling, they stop talking, they lean in, not because you have credentials, but because you have something real. You have experience. You have a human truth wrapped inside a personal moment, and that hits deeper than any perfect speech ever could. If you want to inspire action, stop trying to impress. Start trying to connect. Strip away the need to sound smart, and focus on sounding sincere. The best stories aren't complicated. They're clear. They have a beginning, a turning point, and a lesson. But most of all, they have emotion. They carry feeling. That's what people respond to. Not your vocabulary, not your structure, but the feeling behind your words. When you tell a story, you need to start with a reason. Why are you telling this? What do you want them to walk away with? If you're just talking to talk, you'll lose them. But if every word is leading them to a message that matters, you'll hold them all the way through. The story is the bridge. The lesson is the destination. And if you guide them with authenticity, they'll want to follow you all the way to the end. Speak in scenes, not summaries. Don't just say what happened. Bring us into the moment. What did you see? What did you hear? What were you feeling at that exact point? The more specific you are, the more universal the story becomes. That's the paradox of storytelling. The more personal it is, the more people see themselves in it. That's how you create influence. Not by telling people what to do, but by showing them what's possible through your lived experience. Your voice matters, but your delivery shapes how it's received. If your tone is flat, your story will fall flat. If your energy is low, your message won't land. You need to bring the story to life with your voice, your body, your pace. Let the emotion rise and fall naturally. Let the silence speak when it needs to. Let your words breathe. Storytelling isn't about rushing. It's about rhythm. It's about knowing when to pause, when to drop the punchline, when to let a moment linger. And you have to practice. You can't expect to be compelling if you only tell your story in your head. You need to share it out loud, over and over again, until the words feel like a part of you. Until you're not thinking about the lines, you're feeling the message. That's when you know it's ready. That's when you know it's real. And when it's real, it reaches people. Don't wait until your life is perfect to start telling your story. That day never comes. The messy moments are what people relate to. The setbacks, the failures, the doubts, those are the chapters people connect with most. No one is moved by a flawless image. They're moved by vulnerability, by honesty, by the courage it takes to say, "This is what I went through, and here's what it taught me." You can turn any ordinary moment into something unforgettable if you frame it with meaning. You don't need some dramatic movie scene life to be a storyteller. You just need to pay attention. Every day gives you material. Every conversation, every challenge, every decision. The world is handing you stories constantly. Your job is to capture them, shape them, and deliver them with intention. Influence doesn't come from noise. It comes from resonance. It comes from the moment someone hears your story and thinks, "That's exactly how I feel, but I didn't know how to say it." That's how you build trust. That's how you create impact. You give people language for their own experiences. You help them see themselves more clearly by sharing yourself fully. Great storytellers don't try to be everything to everyone. They know who they're speaking to. They focus their message. They aim their story like an arrow, not a scattershot. And because of that precision, they hit deeper. Your story doesn't have to reach everyone. It just has to reach the right ones. The ones who need to hear it at the exact time you're willing to share it. Don't underestimate your life. Don't overlook the value in what you've lived through. The very thing you think is too small or too personal might be the exact story someone else needs to hear to break through their own fear. So share it. Speak it. Write it. Deliver it with presence and purpose. Not because you want attention, but because you have something worth giving. When you master storytelling, you unlock a secret weapon. You stop sounding like everyone else. You stop being forgettable. You start becoming someone whose voice carries, whose message lingers, whose presence makes a difference. That doesn't come from information. It comes from transformation. And every powerful story carries transformation inside it. People don't want to just know what you did. They want to know what you felt, what you learned, and how it changed you. Give them that. Open the door to the inner world, not just the outer results. Show the tension, reveal the conflict, and then walk them through the resolution. That arc of struggle to growth is what gives your story its power. That's the structure that stays with people. You can tell stories that shift a person's perspective in one conversation. You can tell stories that make people feel seen, understood, motivated, but only if you're willing to go there. You can't inspire transformation in others if you're afraid to speak your truth. You can't change lives if you stay on the surface. Go deeper, get clearer, speak bolder. You don't need permission to own your voice. You don't need approval to express what you've lived. Every time you tell your story with clarity and courage, you make it easier for someone else to do the same. That's how movements begin. That's how culture shifts. That's how legacies are built. Not with data, not with perfection, but with story. You are the narrator of your life. You decide what meaning you give to the moments you've lived. You decide how to shape the story that shaped you. And once you do, no one can take that from you. That ownership, that expression, that influence, it's all yours. All you have to do is speak it into the world. So speak it, with presence, with energy, with simplicity, and most of all with truth. Because nothing is more magnetic than a person who speaks from the heart. Nothing holds attention longer than a story told with soul. And nothing builds influence faster than being real in a world full of noise. That's your edge. That's your power. That's the skill you need to sharpen now. Use it. Shape it. Let it become your voice. Chapter 8. Practice empathy to create trust and authentic connections. Real connection begins when you stop trying to be interesting and start becoming genuinely interested. Most people are so focused on what they're going to say next that they miss the gold being shared right in front of them. If you want to build trust, if you want to earn respect, if you want people to open up to you and follow your lead, you must make them feel seen, heard, and understood. That's what empathy does. It's not about fixing people or offering quick advice. It's about being present enough to understand what they're experiencing, even if you've never gone through it yourself. Empathy is one of the rarest and most powerful skills in a world obsessed with speed. It requires you to slow down, drop your ego, and tune in to someone else's perspective. And when you do that, when someone feels that you actually care enough to understand them without judgment, they remember you, they respect you, they start to trust you. And in that trust, real relationships begin to grow. We live in a time where most people are starving for connection, but too guarded to reach out for it. They're buried in their own stress, hiding behind smiles, holding back emotions they've never had space to express. Empathy creates that space. It tells people, you don't have to wear the mask with me. It says, I'm not here to fix you, I'm here to listen. And those simple signals are life-changing, because they are so rare. In a world full of surface-level interactions, being someone who listens deeply makes you unforgettable. Empathy isn't passive, it's active. It's not sitting quietly while someone talks. It's responding with presence. It's asking questions that show you care. It's paying attention to their tone, their energy, their body language, not just their words. It's understanding that sometimes silence says more than anything they could speak. And it's learning not to rush to respond. Just being there, without trying to make it about you, without turning it into a performance, gives people something they rarely receive: true attention. You don't build loyalty with charm. You build it with care. You build it by being the kind of person people can be real with, without fear of being judged. That's where authenticity starts. When people feel safe with you, they drop the act. They show you who they really are. And that opens the door to influence, to growth, to collaboration that goes beyond transactions. Empathy makes you powerful in ways most people overlook. It allows you to navigate conflict with grace. It helps you lead people without forcing them. It teaches you how to respond to emotions instead of reacting to them. It trains your mind to slow down and interpret what's really going on underneath the surface. Because there's always more happening than what people say. The story behind the emotion matters. The fear behind the anger matters. The reason behind the silence matters. Empathy helps you read between the lines and respond with wisdom. If you want to earn someone's respect, don't try to impress them. Instead, try to understand them. If you want to lead someone, don't demand control. Earn their trust through presence and patience. And if you want to influence someone, don't preach. Listen, let them feel that they matter, that they aren't just another number or a project to manage. Let them know you see them as a human being, not just a role. You don't have to agree with someone to practice empathy. You don't even have to fully relate to them. You just have to be willing to hold space for their perspective, and that alone builds connection. You can say, "I don't know exactly how that feels, but I can imagine it must be heavy," and that one sentence can break down walls that years of advice never could. People open up when they feel respected, not when they feel corrected. If you're in a position of leadership, empathy is not optional. It's essential. Your people don't want a perfect leader. They want a real one. One who listens, one who cares, one who takes time to understand what they're carrying. That kind of leadership inspires loyalty, not just compliance. When people feel that their voice matters, they give more of themselves. They bring more energy, more trust, more honesty to the table. And that transforms the entire culture around you. Empathy also sharpens your intuition. The more you practice listening with your full attention, the more you'll notice the things others miss. The moment when someone's eyes shift because something hit too close. The hesitation in their voice when they're trying to hide doubt. The pause before they answer a question they're not ready to face. All of that data is invisible to the distracted mind, but crystal clear to the empathetic one. There's nothing soft about empathy. It's strength under control. It takes emotional discipline to stay present when someone is expressing pain, frustration, or confusion. It takes maturity to hold back your opinions and just be a witness to someone else's experience. It takes courage to feel deeply without getting lost in the emotions. And it takes wisdom to know how to respond in a way that lifts people, not just soothes them. You build connection by showing people that they're not alone. That's the real magic of empathy. It breaks isolation. It interrupts the spiral of self-doubt and shame. It says, "What you're going through matters to me," and that alone can be the beginning of someone's healing. It can be the beginning of someone's belief in themselves again. We've all had moments where one person's empathy changed everything. Where someone listened instead of lecturing. Where someone held space instead of giving quick solutions. And in that moment, something inside us shifted. We felt human again. We felt less alone. We felt safe. And if you can give that to others, you'll always have a place in their hearts. The ability to practice empathy starts with mastering your own emotions. You can't show up for others if you're drowning in your own inner chaos. That's why self-awareness is the foundation. You need to know your own triggers. You need to recognize when your ego is trying to take over. You need to check your need to be right, your urge to dominate, your habit of interrupting. Real empathy requires humility. It asks you to set yourself aside for a moment so you can truly connect with someone else. You're not going to get it perfect every time. You'll miss cues. You'll say the wrong thing sometimes. But if your heart is in the right place, people will feel that. Empathy isn't about being flawless. It's about being intentional. It's about trying. It's about showing up with the desire to understand, even if you don't have all the right words. And when people sense that you're trying, not to fix them, but to support them. They'll respond with trust. In your daily life, empathy turns routine interactions into opportunities for connection. A small question asked with care, a moment of silence held without rushing, a look that says, "I get it," those things matter. They accumulate. They build a reputation. They form the foundation of every strong relationship, whether it's personal or professional. Empathy isn't weakness. It's the mark of someone who is deeply secure in themselves. Someone who doesn't need to dominate, to feel powerful. Someone who doesn't need to shout to be heard. It's the calm, steady presence that makes people feel safe to be themselves. And in a world of pretense, that authenticity is rare. And rare is valuable. You won't always get empathy in return. Some people won't recognize or appreciate your effort. That doesn't mean you stop. It means you're doing something they haven't experienced enough to value yet. But they'll remember. They'll remember how you made them feel. And when the moment comes where they need someone who listens, they'll come back to you. Start with small acts. Ask how someone's really doing. And mean it. Pause long enough to hear the truth behind their answer. Look them in the eye and give them your full presence. Respond with care, not convenience. Speak less, listen more. Let people express themselves without fear of interruption or judgment. Those simple shifts build deep trust. You want to be someone whose presence brings comfort, not pressure. Someone who others seek out when life feels too loud. Someone who doesn't just speak well, but listens masterfully. That's what makes you magnetic. That's what turns acquaintances into allies, strangers into supporters, teams into families. Every single day, you'll have a chance to choose empathy. In the hallway, in the meeting, in the conversation with someone who's clearly off today. Don't miss it. Those are the moments that define your influence. Those are the moments where trust is built or broken. And every time you choose empathy, you become the kind of person this world desperately needs more of. Be that person. Be the calm in the storm. Be the one who makes people feel safe. Be the one who listens when no one else does. Be the presence that reminds people they're not invisible, that their feelings matter, that they're not alone in what they're going through. That's real leadership. That's authentic influence. That's power, practiced through empathy. Chapter 9. Harness positive language to inspire and motivate others. Your words can be weapons, or they can be wings. It all depends on how you choose to use them. Every time you open your mouth, you are either planting seeds of belief or sowing doubt. Most people have no idea how powerful their language is. They speak carelessly, without thinking of the impact their words carry. But if you learn to speak with intention, with positivity, with purpose, you can shift someone's entire day, sometimes their entire life, with a single sentence. People don't remember every detail of what you say, but they will always remember how you made them feel. That's where the true power of positive language lies. It doesn't just inform, it uplifts. It doesn't just communicate, it connects. When you speak with clarity, strength, and genuine encouragement, you don't just inspire action, you unlock potential. You show people what's possible, not just what's practical. The words you choose shape the world you live in. Speak about possibility, and you start to notice opportunity. Speak about struggle, and everything starts to feel like a burden. But when you speak from a place of optimism, even challenges become fuel for growth. That doesn't mean you ignore reality. It means you choose to approach it with the mindset of a builder, not a breaker. That's what leaders do. They create space for hope, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. You don't need a stage to be a speaker. You influence people every time you talk, at work, at home, in passing conversations with strangers. And if you learn to speak with positivity, intention, and emotional strength, you will begin to change the way people see themselves. You'll shift the energy in every room you enter. You'll become someone others want to listen to, not because you speak the loudest, but because your words carry meaning and heart. Positive language isn't about blind optimism. It's about consciously choosing words that energize rather than drain. Instead of saying, "This is too hard," say, "This is going to grow me." Instead of, "I'm stuck," say, "I'm learning what to do next." These small shifts rewire your brain and influence the people around you. Your language becomes a mirror that reflects what you believe. If you believe in solutions, your words will reflect resilience. If you believe in others, your words will carry empowerment. We underestimate how deeply words land in the hearts of others. A quick comment can replay in someone's mind for years. One sentence spoken with passion can become the reason someone doesn't give up. And one moment of encouragement might be all it takes to keep someone going when they're on the edge of quitting. That's why you must speak with awareness. Every interaction is a chance to either uplift or damage. If you're not careful, your frustration can become someone else's insecurity. But if you're intentional, your confidence can become someone else's courage. Start by speaking to yourself with the same positivity you want to give to others. You can't uplift anyone if you constantly tear yourself down. Your inner dialogue shapes your outer message. If you walk around thinking you're not good enough, your words will carry hesitation. But if you remind yourself of your worth, your capability, your purpose, your words will reflect that strength, and people will feel it. Positive language builds momentum. When you speak life into your vision, it becomes easier to act. When you tell others what you believe they're capable of, they start believing it too. Every time you use your words to reinforce progress, to highlight growth, to celebrate effort, you're creating a mindset that thrives under pressure. You're reinforcing belief, and belief is the foundation of achievement. You never know who's listening. You never know who needed to hear exactly what you had to say. That's why every moment matters. Don't wait until you're on stage to start speaking powerfully. Speak with impact in everyday life, with your team, with your family, with yourself. Don't just talk to fill silence, speak to fuel movement. Speak with words that lead. Speak like your voice can unlock change, because it can. Think about how different our world would be if more people used language to build, not break. Imagine if instead of saying, "You always mess things up," we said, "You're still learning, and you're getting stronger with every mistake." Instead of, "You'll never make it," we said, "Keep going. You haven't even tapped into your full potential yet." These aren't just nicer ways to say things. These are words that empower, words that stretch someone's belief in themselves. And that's what real leadership sounds like. You want to inspire people. Use language that paints possibility. Use words that make people feel capable, even when they're tired. Tell them what's working, not just what's wrong. Highlight their effort, not just their errors. And most importantly, speak from your heart, not your ego, because people can feel the difference. They can tell when you're speaking to sound smart versus when you're speaking to help them rise. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need fancy words to inspire action. What matters is that your words come from truth, from belief, from a desire to lift rather than control. The most inspiring voices aren't always the ones that say the most. They're the ones that say the right things at the right time. Sometimes it's one sentence that cuts through the fog of doubt and reminds someone who they really are. Use language that honors people's efforts. Remind them that setbacks don't define their story. Show them that their progress is valid, even when it's invisible to others. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Your words start to feel like a force of nature, calm, consistent, powerful. Speak to possibility, not limitation. When someone says, "I'm not good at this," don't reinforce that belief. Say, "You're improving. Keep going." When someone says, "I don't know if I can," say, "You've come this far. There's more in you." Speak life where others speak doubt. Be the voice that reminds people they can keep going, even when it's tough. You don't need a perfect background or the best vocabulary to inspire others. What you need is heart. You need to believe in people enough to speak to their strength, not their struggle. You need to want more for them than they want for themselves. And you need to be willing to repeat truth until it becomes their new self-talk. That's what it means to lead with words. The language of leaders is never filled with blame, sarcasm, or negativity. It's filled with clarity, hope, and belief. It's focused on what's possible. It's focused on who someone can become, not just who they've been. That's what moves people, not empty hype, not manipulation, but grounded belief expressed through words that hit the soul, not just the ears. The words you speak also shape the culture you create. Whether it's your business, your family, or your community, language sets the tone. If your words focus on fear, doubt, and control, you'll create an environment of stress. But if your language speaks to growth, trust, and encouragement, you'll build a culture where people thrive. You're going to face moments where things aren't going well. Moments where people are tired, discouraged, frustrated. That's when your words matter most. Anyone can sound positive when things are smooth. But when everything's on the line, when the pressure is high, that's when your voice can stabilize people. That's when your language can either calm the storm or make it worse. Choose your words with the same care you would choose the foundation of a building. Because everything you're building, whether it's a dream, a relationship, or a team, rests on what you say and how you say it. Words create atmosphere, and the atmosphere you create either nourishes or depletes the people in it. So the next time you speak, pause. Ask yourself, is this going to lift or lower? Will it give someone energy or take it away? Is this aligned with the future I want to create? If not, don't say it. Speak with purpose. Speak like it matters, because it does. Your words are tools. Use them to carve confidence, to shape belief, to clear confusion, to open hearts. Speak powerfully, not because you want to impress, but because you want to impact. Speak with conviction, not arrogance. Speak with vision, not fear. And most importantly, speak in a way that makes people feel stronger after they've heard you than they did before. Because in the end, it's not just about what you said, it's about what you sparked. It's about the fire you lit, the belief you helped build, the shift you triggered in someone's thinking. That's what real motivation sounds like. And you already have that power. It lives in your voice. Now it's your turn to use it. Chapter 10. Prepare thoughtful introductions that make strong first impressions. The way you introduce yourself determines how the world starts to perceive you, so why leave it to chance? In the first few seconds of meeting someone, you are either opening a door or building a wall. You are either remembered or forgotten. That's the raw power of a thoughtful introduction. It's not just about saying your name, it's about making people feel something. It's about instantly communicating presence, purpose, and value without trying too hard or saying too much. People make decisions quickly. Before you even speak, they're already picking up on your energy, your confidence, your focus. And when you finally do speak, you either confirm that you're someone worth listening to or give them a reason to tune out. That's why preparation matters. A powerful introduction is not accidental, it's designed, it's deliberate. It's a reflection of how you see yourself and how you want to be seen. If you want to stand out in a world filled with noise, you have to be intentional from the very beginning. The first impression isn't about bragging, it's about clarity. It's about letting others know exactly who you are and what you stand for without forcing it. Think about the people you remember most. What made them different? It wasn't their titles or accomplishments, it was the way they carried themselves. The way they introduced who they were with strength, humility, and purpose. The truth is, everyone's watching how you show up, and that includes how you introduce yourself. If you're vague, if you ramble, if you sound unsure, you create doubt. But if you speak with conviction, if you express your identity with precision, you gain respect before the conversation even begins. Your introduction sets the tone. It creates momentum. It signals to others that you're not here to waste time. You're here to bring something real to the table. To introduce yourself with strength, you must know who you are. You must be deeply connected to your values, your goals, your message. Don't rely on surface-level answers. Don't lead with job titles or vague cliches. That's what average people do. You're not here to be average. You're here to lead. You're here to move people. So when someone asks who you are, tell them what drives you. Tell them what you believe in. Let them feel your focus and see your ambition in the way you speak. And don't memorize a script. That's not what this is about. People can spot inauthenticity instantly. You're not trying to perform, you're trying to connect. A powerful introduction doesn't sound robotic. It sounds honest. It sounds like someone who knows what they're here to do. So speak from your truth, not from a resume. Speak like someone who's already moving forward, not like someone waiting for permission. It's also not about talking too much. A strong introduction is clear and sharp. It gets to the point without rushing. It tells a story without over-explaining. Less is more, if what you say carries weight. If you introduce yourself in a way that's confident and concise, you create room for curiosity. You make people want to know more. And that's the key. Don't say everything. Say what matters most, and say it with energy. Start thinking of your introduction as a handshake through words. It should carry warmth, strength, and intention. It should make people feel that they're dealing with someone who respects themselves and others. When you introduce yourself with care, you're not just saying who you are, you're setting the foundation for trust. You're showing people that you take yourself seriously. And when you take yourself seriously, others will too. Before you walk into any room, any meeting, any opportunity, take a moment to rehearse your mindset. Not just your words, your energy. Remind yourself why you're there. Remind yourself of your worth. Prepare to speak with conviction, not because you're trying to impress, but because you understand that the first moment matters. It tells people whether they should listen or move on. It tells people if you're clear or confused. And it tells people whether you respect their time or are just there to fill space. You only get one shot at a first impression, and that window closes fast. That doesn't mean you should fear it. It means you should respect it. If you respect the moment, you'll prepare for it. And when you prepare, you don't hesitate. You walk in ready. You walk in aware of what you bring to the table. You walk in with a mindset that says, I know who I am. I know what I'm here to do. And I'm not going to shrink to make others comfortable. The moment you open your mouth, you're broadcasting your belief system. So if you speak with doubt, people feel that. If you speak with purpose, people feel that too. The difference isn't just in the words, it's in the presence behind them. So develop your presence. Practice clarity. Practice calm. Practice speaking with rhythm. not rush. Speak like every word matters, because it does. The people who leave a lasting impact are those who treat every introduction like an opportunity, not a formality. They don't go through the motions. They show up with presence. They make sure their voice is aligned with their vision. And they don't wait to be asked. They speak with initiative. That's what separates leaders from followers. Leaders don't just introduce themselves. They command attention without forcing it. It also means understanding your audience. Tailor your introduction to fit the context. Don't walk into every room with the same words. Speak to the people in front of you. Make your introduction relevant. Show that you're present, not rehearsing. Make the person feel seen while helping them see who you are. That creates connection, not just communication. That creates trust, not just small talk. When you meet someone new, they're not just listening to your words, they're assessing your energy. Your introduction is like a handshake for the soul. It reveals more than what's spoken. It reveals whether you believe in what you're saying. So slow down. Be intentional. Speak from the center of who you are. Because if you don't believe it, no one else will. There will be moments when you feel nervous, when doubt creeps in. That's okay. But don't let it run the show. Breathe. Ground yourself. Remind yourself you've prepared for this. You've earned your space, and no one else can speak your story better than you. The nerves don't go away. You learn how to manage them. And over time your confidence grows, because your preparation becomes your strength. Remember that people are not just evaluating your words. They're deciding how they feel about you, and feelings move faster than logic. If your introduction is cold, rehearsed, or scattered, they may not remember what you said. But if your introduction is warm, focused, and powerful, they'll remember how you made them feel. That's the goal, not just to be heard, but to be felt. A strong introduction opens doors. It builds bridges. It signals trustworthiness. Whether you're meeting a client, pitching an idea, networking, or just starting a conversation, every introduction is a chance to create opportunity. But if you come in unsure, unprepared, or uninterested, you've already lost ground. Take ownership of that moment. It belongs to you. You can't control how people respond, but you can control how you show up. And if you consistently show up with presence, clarity, and purpose, people will take notice. They'll remember your name. They'll want to know more. And that's all you need. A spark of interest, created by a moment of real presence. There are no second chances at first impressions. But if you get the first moment right, everything that follows becomes easier. People are more open, more engaged, more trusting. They give you space to lead. They listen with interest, and that starts with how you begin. It starts with what you say when you say hello. It starts with how you introduce not just your name, but your identity, your purpose, your presence. So next time you walk into a room, don't wait for someone to make the first move. Be the one who sets the tone. Be the one who steps forward with confidence. Speak like you belong, because you do. Speak like you've got something valuable to share, because you do. Speak like the moment matters, because it does. And don't stop refining. Every introduction is a chance to get better, a chance to sharpen your message, a chance to own your presence more deeply. With every opportunity, you become more practiced, more intentional, more unforgettable. That's how powerful people operate. That's how leaders speak. That's how you make every room. Remember who you are, without trying to prove it. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real, prepared, present. And when you combine those three things in your introduction, you become magnetic, you become memorable, and you start building a reputation that reflects who you truly are, starting from the very first word. Chapter 11. Strengthen vocal tone to sound confident and persuasive. Your voice is your power. If you don't control it, it controls how the world sees you. Every word you speak, every tone you use, every pause you take is shaping how people respond to you. You can have the best ideas, the deepest passion, the most important message, but if your voice doesn't match your strength, people won't feel it, they won't trust it, they won't follow it. When you speak with a weak tone, even truth sounds uncertain. When your words are rushed, flat or timid, people sense hesitation, even if you know exactly what you're talking about. But when you speak with depth, purpose and calm authority, people stop to listen. Your voice becomes more than sound. It becomes influence. And that's what separates people who are heard from people who are remembered. Confidence is not just in what you say, it's in how you say it. You could repeat the most powerful message in the world, but if your tone lacks conviction, it loses all weight. The energy behind your words matters. The rhythm, the volume, the inflection, it all tells a story about who you are. You don't need a perfect voice. You need a trained one, a voice that reflects your clarity, your drive, your certainty. If you've ever felt ignored, interrupted, or underestimated, chances are your voice wasn't doing its job. Not because you weren't smart, not because your message didn't matter, but because your delivery didn't match your power. When you speak from the throat instead of the core, when you rush your words or trail off at the end of sentences, people subconsciously hear weakness, and they respond with disinterest. But here's the truth. Vocal tone can be trained, it can be sharpened, it can be molded into a tool that commands attention and drives action. Most people never practice their tone. They speak out of habit, out of fear, out of passivity. They let their voice reflect doubt instead of confidence. But you can make a different choice. You can master how you sound, just like you master how you think. Start with awareness. Record yourself. Listen without judgment. Don't just focus on the words. Study the tone. Do you sound rushed, flat, tense, too soft, too loud? Do you speak with intention or just out of reaction? Pay attention to how your voice lands, because how it lands determines how much impact it creates. Then begin to practice control. Your voice is an instrument, and like any instrument, it needs tuning, it needs breath, it needs patience. Breathe from your diaphragm, not your chest. Slow down your pace. Speak from your center. Let your tone rise and fall with intention. Let your pauses give your words space to land. Confidence isn't fast, it's deliberate. When you raise your voice just to be heard, you lose power. But when you lower your tone and stay calm under pressure, people lean in. They sense control, they hear clarity, and that clarity becomes trust. You don't need to shout to be strong. You need to speak with grounded authority. You need to let silence work in your favor. Every pause, every controlled breath, every purposeful emphasis is part of what makes your voice persuasive. Persuasion doesn't come from volume. It comes from certainty. It comes from a tone that says, I know what I'm talking about. Not arrogance, not performance, just clarity. When your tone is calm and rooted, you remove noise, you remove doubt, you remove confusion, and that's what makes people move. In every conversation, your voice is either lifting the energy or draining it. It's either bringing presence or distraction. You can't fake vocal power. It must be practiced. You must develop it like a muscle, and you must use it in service of something greater than yourself. Because a powerful voice without purpose is just noise. But a powerful voice with purpose That moves mountains. Whether you're on stage, in a meeting, at a job interview, or on a phone call, your tone sets the atmosphere. It defines the experience. A confident voice makes others feel safe. It makes them feel guided. It helps them trust your leadership. And that trust is earned not through shouting or dominance, but through tone control, clarity, and emotional strength. Don't let nerves control your voice. Nerves are normal. They show that you care, but don't let them weaken your tone. Prepare so thoroughly that your voice becomes your weapon, not your weakness. Practice speaking even when your hands shake. Practice staying calm even when you feel pressure. Because the more control you develop, the more your voice becomes an extension of your inner strength, not your fear. Your tone is a signal of how much you believe in what you're saying. If your tone wavers, the message loses strength. But if your tone carries calm conviction, people feel it. They don't just hear what you say, they believe it. That's why tone matters more than words. It's the emotional weight behind your message. It's the difference between someone hearing you and someone being moved by you. Speak like your words matter, because they do, but also speak like your tone matters, because it does. Every inflection, every emphasis, every silence in between. This is where persuasion lives. Not in fancy vocabulary, but in the presence behind each sound. That presence must be practiced, sharpened, and aligned with who you are. If you want to lead, if you want to influence, if you want to make real change, your tone must become a mirror of your mission. It must reflect who you are and what you're here to do. You cannot afford to sound unsure. You cannot afford to sound small. Your tone must be strong, because your mission is too important to be ignored. Start with simple exercises. Read aloud with purpose. Practice different pacing. Vary your tone. Experiment with volume. Train your ear to hear what sounds clear and what sounds forced. Learn to breathe deeper. Practice holding space with silence. These are not performance tricks. These are tools of power. These are habits of leaders who understand that how they speak shapes how the world sees them. A strong tone doesn't mean being loud. It means being firm, clear, and steady. It means owning your message without rushing it. It means delivering each sentence like it matters, because it does. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Soon your voice starts matching your vision. Your tone starts reflecting your discipline. And your communication becomes unforgettable. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about removing the noise between who you are and how you sound. It's about making your voice an honest representation of your strength, your leadership, your focus. When you speak with purpose, people listen differently. They feel something. They connect. They follow. That's how transformation begins, one strong voice at a time. And it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what you've struggled with. Everyone can develop a powerful tone. Everyone can sharpen their voice. Everyone can rise from silence to strength. All it takes is commitment, consistent practice, and a decision to no longer speak from fear. When you choose to strengthen your tone, you choose to honor your message. You choose to stop hiding behind weak delivery. You choose to become persuasive, not because you're trying to manipulate, but because you're grounded in truth. And truth, delivered with clarity, becomes unstoppable. Don't underestimate what happens when your voice changes. It changes how people respond to you. It changes how they see you. It changes how you see yourself. You begin to speak with alignment, with flow, with certainty. And that certainty influences everything, from how you lead to how you live. There will always be people with louder voices, but loud isn't the goal. Presence is, confidence is, authentic persuasion is. And when your tone is tuned to match your power, you no longer need to prove anything. You simply speak, and the message lands. You speak, and the room shifts. You speak, and people feel it. So start today. Start strengthening your tone with every conversation, every sentence, every interaction. Let your voice carry your mission. Let your tone reflect your belief. Speak with discipline. Speak with calm strength. And watch how the world begins to respond to you differently. Not because you changed who you are, but because you finally let your voice reflect the power you've always had within. Chapter 12. Develop skills to handle difficult conversations gracefully. Difficult conversations are not obstacles. They are opportunities disguised in discomfort. How you handle those moments of tension defines your character, your influence, and the strength of your relationships. Every challenge in communication is a chance to show your resilience and your grace. You don't have to avoid these talks or let emotions control you. You can learn to navigate them with calmness, clarity, and respect that transforms conflict into connection. Handling tough conversations gracefully starts with understanding the power of preparation. When you anticipate the difficult talk ahead, you shift from reaction to intention. You give yourself the chance to think through your message, your feelings, and your desired outcome before the words even leave your mouth. This is where control begins. Without preparation, emotions can take over, and the conversation becomes a battle rather than a bridge. Clarity in your purpose is essential. Before you enter the conversation, ask yourself why it matters. What are you trying to achieve? What is the core issue? What feelings need to be acknowledged? Without this clarity, it's easy to get lost in tangents, blame, or defensiveness. When your purpose is clear, your message is focused, and your words carry direction rather than confusion. Another critical skill is mastering your emotions. Difficult talks often stir strong feelings, frustration, anger, fear, or hurt. But emotional intensity can cloud your judgment and escalate conflict if you don't manage it. Developing emotional awareness means recognizing your feelings without letting them dictate your responses. Take a moment to breathe, ground yourself, and respond rather than react. This self-control shows strength, not weakness. Listening is the most powerful tool in tough conversations. It's tempting to defend yourself or push your point, but real progress happens when you listen deeply. This means more than just waiting your turn to speak. It means fully engaging with the other person's words, tone, and emotions. When you listen with empathy, you validate their experience and open the door to mutual understanding. Listening shifts the dynamic from confrontation to collaboration. How you phrase your words matters immensely. Using I statements rather than you accusations lowers defenses and keeps the conversation productive. For example, saying "I feel concerned when deadlines are missed" invites dialogue, while "you never meet deadlines" triggers resistance. Thoughtful language creates space for honesty without hostility. It's about expressing your truth while respecting theirs. Timing is a subtle but vital factor. Choosing when and where to have difficult conversations can make a huge difference. Private settings, free from distractions, allow for open dialogue. Avoid moments of high stress or exhaustion when emotions are already fragile. Sometimes, waiting to address an issue with a calm mind leads to a more effective exchange than pushing it immediately. Body language is a silent communicator, that can either escalate or ease tension. Maintaining open posture, steady eye contact, and calm gestures conveys respect and attentiveness. Closed-off positions, crossed arms, or avoiding eye contact send signals of defensiveness or disinterest, even if your words are kind. Aligning your non-verbal cues with your message strengthens trust and encourages openness. Patience is indispensable. Difficult conversations rarely resolve everything at once. They are often the start of ongoing dialogue. Giving space for thoughts to settle, for emotions to cool, and for reflection prevents rash decisions or hurtful words. Showing patience communicates that you value the relationship more than winning the argument. Adopting a mindset of curiosity instead of judgment shifts the energy of the conversation. Instead of assuming motives or placing blame, ask questions to understand the other person's perspective. Genuine curiosity breaks down barriers and invites honesty. When you seek to understand rather than to attack, you foster a safe environment for change and growth. Owning your part in the situation builds credibility and reduces defensiveness. Admitting mistakes or acknowledging misunderstandings demonstrates maturity and opens the door for others to do the same. Taking responsibility diffuses blame games and moves the conversation towards solutions instead of conflict. Setting clear boundaries during difficult talks protects your well-being and maintains respect. If the conversation becomes disrespectful or harmful, it's okay to pause, step back, or reschedule. Gracefully managing boundaries shows that you respect yourself and the other person enough to demand a constructive dialogue. Using silence strategically can be incredibly effective. Pausing after making a point or after hearing something challenging allows space for reflection and shows confidence. Silence gives weight to your words and discourages rushed reactions. It's a powerful way to create balance in emotionally charged conversations. After the conversation, following up is essential to ensure progress and healing. Summarize what was discussed, confirm mutual understanding, and agree on next steps. This follow-through transforms a difficult talk into a productive process and prevents resentment from building. It shows commitment to the relationship and the resolution. Practice transforms these skills from theory into natural habit. Each challenging conversation you face is a chance to refine your approach, build your emotional resilience, and strengthen your ability to connect. Avoidance only makes difficulties grow. Facing them with grace makes you stronger and more respected. Difficult conversations reveal your true leadership, not the loudest voice or the most forceful argument, but the one who listens, responds thoughtfully, and steers toward understanding. This kind of communication builds bridges where others burn them. It creates trust where others leave doubt, and it fosters growth where others find dead ends. When you master handling tough talks gracefully, you no longer fear confrontation. Instead, you welcome it as a tool for growth, clarity, and deeper connection. You become a person people trust to speak honestly without tearing down. You become someone who doesn't just survive conflict, but uses it to build stronger relationships. The path to grace in difficult conversations is not quick or easy. It requires self-awareness, discipline, and courage. It asks you to face discomfort and resist the urge to defend or attack. It calls you to listen when you want to speak and to respond when you want to react. But every step forward deepens your confidence and expands your influence. You must remember that difficult conversations are moments of truth. They strip away facades and expose real issues, but they also create space for real solutions. They challenge you to bring your best self, not your reactive self. They push you to communicate with intention, patience, and respect. The rewards for mastering these conversations are profound. Stronger relationships, clearer communication, less stress, and greater respect become your reality. Your ability to navigate challenges gracefully separates you from the crowd. It shapes your reputation as someone who can handle pressure without losing composure, someone who can face conflict without losing humanity. This skill will benefit every area of your life: work, family, friendships, and even encounters with strangers. It will allow you to set boundaries firmly and kindly. It will help you to say hard things without breaking bonds. It will empower you to stand your ground without alienating others. Imagine the freedom that comes when difficult conversations no longer feel like threats, but become opportunities for growth. When you no longer dread tension, but embrace it as a necessary part of real connection. This freedom comes from mastering yourself first, your emotions, your words, your presence. Remember, the greatest leaders are not those who avoid conflict, but those who confront it with dignity. Those who can have the hard talks and still maintain respect. Those who know the power of listening deeply and speaking thoughtfully. You can be that person. You have the strength inside you already. The next time a difficult conversation arises, don't shy away. Prepare yourself. Focus on clarity. Listen more than you speak, and speak with intention. Control your emotions and create space for understanding. Use silence and body language to support your message. Follow up to reinforce progress, and watch how what once felt impossible becomes a tool for connection. Your growth depends on your ability to handle the hard talks gracefully. Your future depends on it. Your relationships depend on it. And your influence in the world depends on it. Step into that power today and transform how you communicate forever. Chapter 13. Practice consistent eye contact to build rapport instantly. Eye contact is the silent language that speaks louder than words and builds unshakable trust in an instant. The moment you lock eyes with someone, you create a connection deeper than any conversation alone can achieve. It is one of the most powerful tools for forming genuine relationships, commanding respect, and expressing confidence. Mastering consistent eye contact is not just a skill, it is a gateway to influence, understanding, and authentic human connection. When you meet someone and maintain steady eye contact, you tell them without saying a word that they matter. Your gaze shows attentiveness, respect, and honesty. It signals that you are fully present, engaged, and open to interaction. This presence is magnetic because people crave being seen and heard in a world full of distractions. Eye contact honors that need and makes others feel valued immediately. Consistency in eye contact means finding the delicate balance between engagement and comfort. Staring too intensely can feel aggressive or intimidating, while avoiding eye contact suggests insecurity or disinterest. The key is to hold the gaze just long enough to communicate sincerity, then naturally look away before returning to maintain flow. This rhythm mirrors natural conversation patterns and keeps the interaction authentic. Eye contact activates trust-building chemicals in the brain. When you look someone in the eye, their brain releases oxytocin, a hormone associated with bonding and empathy. This biological response makes them feel safer and more willing to open up. Knowing this helps you understand that your eyes are not just windows to your soul, they are bridges to the hearts and minds of others. The power of eye contact extends beyond personal relationships into professional settings. In business meetings, interviews, or negotiations, maintaining steady eye contact conveys confidence and credibility. It shows that you believe in what you are saying and are prepared to stand behind it. People naturally gravitate toward those who meet their gaze, sensing strength and reliability. To build rapport quickly, start by focusing your attention on the person's eyes, especially when they are speaking. Avoid scanning the room or looking down at your phone. This focused gaze tells them you are truly listening, which encourages reciprocity. When they feel heard, they relax and become more open, paving the way for meaningful exchange. Practicing eye contact also enhances your own self-confidence. Often the fear of making direct eye contact stems from insecurity or fear of judgment. Each time you hold someone's gaze, you push through discomfort and reinforce your inner strength. Over time, this simple act becomes easier and more natural, and your confidence grows exponentially. Non-verbal cues tied to eye contact are crucial. When you pair your gaze with a genuine smile, nod of understanding, or calm expression, you amplify warmth and approachability. These subtle signals create an emotional connection that words alone cannot achieve. Your eyes can communicate encouragement, empathy, and honesty all at once. Remember that cultural differences influence eye contact norms. In some cultures, prolonged eye contact can be seen as disrespectful or confrontational. Awareness and respect for these differences show emotional intelligence and adaptability. Adjusting your gaze according to the cultural context ensures your message is received positively. Developing consistent eye contact also means training your mind to stay present. Distraction breaks the flow of connection and weakens your influence. When your mind wanders, your eyes often follow. Practice grounding techniques such as mindful breathing or silently repeating your intention to engage fully. These habits strengthen your ability to stay connected through your eyes. Eye contact is a form of active listening. It shows that you are not only hearing words, but absorbing the meaning behind them. This deep level of attention encourages the speaker to open up further, building intimacy and trust. The stronger the rapport, the easier it becomes to influence and inspire. The impact of consistent eye contact goes beyond the immediate moment. People remember how you made them feel, and your attentive gaze leaves a lasting impression of respect and authenticity. This impression becomes the foundation for long-term relationships, whether personal or professional. It's essential to practice eye contact regularly. Start in low-pressure situations such as casual conversations with friends or family. Notice how your gaze affects the interaction and adjust accordingly. Gradually extend this practice to more formal or unfamiliar encounters. Like any skill, repetition and awareness lead to mastery. For those who struggle with eye contact due to anxiety or shyness, begin by focusing on the space between the person's eyes or their eyebrows. This technique creates the illusion of direct eye contact without overwhelming you. As your comfort grows, shift your focus gradually to their eyes themselves. Remember that eye contact is only one piece of communication, but it is a powerful one. Combining it with clear speech, confident posture, and active listening transforms your entire presence. When your eyes, words, and actions align, you become a beacon of trust and influence. The ability to build rapport instantly through eye contact changes the way you connect with the world. It allows you to break down walls quickly, gain cooperation effortlessly, and create a sense of belonging wherever you go. This simple, natural skill is a foundation for all successful interactions. Think of eye contact as the spark that ignites meaningful conversation and lasting connection. Without it, even the best words can fall flat or seem insincere. With it you create an atmosphere where people feel safe to share, collaborate, and grow. Imagine walking into a room and immediately establishing rapport with everyone you meet simply by the way you use your eyes. No need for elaborate introductions or impressive speeches. Your consistent, genuine eye contact speaks volumes and sets you apart instantly. Your journey to mastering eye contact begins with small, intentional steps. Notice when you tend to look away and gently remind yourself to return your gaze. Observe how people respond when you meet their eyes fully. Let their reactions encourage you to deepen your practice. As you become more skilled, your eye contact will carry nuance and depth. You'll be able to convey compassion, excitement, curiosity, or seriousness with just a glance. This rich communication adds layers to your interactions and makes your presence unforgettable. The path to building rapport instantly is paved with authenticity. People are experts at sensing when eye contact is forced or manipulative. Your gaze must come from a genuine place of interest and respect. Cultivating this sincerity transforms your interactions and builds trust that lasts. Remember that eye contact is a two-way street. While you focus on holding your gaze, invite others to meet your eyes without pressure. A shared, comfortable gaze is a mutual agreement of connection and respect. This balance fosters equal footing in communication. Practice now and every day, because consistent eye contact is not just a technique, but a lifelong habit that elevates your relationships and your life. When you look people in the eye with confidence and kindness, you unlock doors that words alone cannot open. You become someone who is seen, heard, and remembered. This simple skill, cultivated with intention and authenticity, transforms the way you connect with others. It changes the energy of every interaction and sets the tone for trust and influence. Master consistent eye contact and watch how your relationships flourish, your confidence soars, and your impact deepens without saying a single word. Chapter 14. Use humor wisely to lighten conversations and connect warmly. If you want to create real connections and make your presence unforgettable, learning to use humor wisely is one of the most powerful tools you can master. Humor is not just about making people laugh. It's about breaking down walls, easing tension, and opening doors to genuine warmth between people. When used well, humor disarms defenses and invites others into your world. It softens difficult moments and makes conversations flow naturally. But humor is a skill that requires care and understanding, because when misused, it can push people away instead of drawing them closer. To use humor effectively, you must first develop a deep sense of timing. Timing isn't just about when to say something funny, it's about reading the room, sensing the mood, and knowing what kind of humor fits the moment. A well-placed light joke can relieve stress and create a positive atmosphere, but a poorly timed joke might seem insensitive or awkward. Becoming attuned to others' reactions and adjusting your humor accordingly is a sign of emotional intelligence that few master. At its core, humor should be inclusive, not exclusive. When you joke at someone else's expense, it risks alienating or hurting them, even if you don't intend it. The most impactful humor invites everyone to smile together. Self-deprecating humor, when used sparingly and sincerely, shows humility and makes you more relatable. It reveals that you don't take yourself too seriously, which invites others to lower their guard as well. This kind of humor connects on a human level and builds trust. Learning to laugh at life's imperfections and your own mistakes cultivates resilience. When you don't let small setbacks or awkward moments shake you, but instead make light of them, you demonstrate confidence and emotional strength. Others admire that energy because it shows you're comfortable in your own skin and willing to embrace life's challenges with a light heart. That attitude is magnetic. But humor is not a license to avoid seriousness. When conversations require sensitivity or gravity, humor should step aside. Using humor at the wrong time can undermine the importance of what's being said. Mastering humor means knowing when to switch gears and respect the moment's tone. That balance is what separates those who truly connect from those who only seem funny on the surface. Cultivating humor also means sharpening your observational skills. The funniest people often find humor in everyday life, in small details others overlook. They notice the little ironies, the quirks of human behavior, and the unexpected twists that life throws at us. Observational humor isn't about mocking, but about revealing shared experiences in a way that makes people smile or nod in recognition. This shared understanding deepens bonds and sparks connection. Another key aspect is storytelling. When humor is woven into stories, it becomes far more engaging and memorable. A humorous story invites listeners to enter your experience and feel the emotions you felt, but with a lightness that keeps them entertained. Stories with humor stick in the mind and make your message more persuasive. They transform ordinary facts or lessons into compelling narratives that inspire action. Humor also works as a powerful social lubricant in groups. In team settings or social gatherings, a well-timed joke can break tension and encourage collaboration. It helps people relax, lowers barriers, and fosters a sense of belonging. Leaders who use humor effectively create environments where creativity and trust thrive because people feel safe to express themselves without fear of judgment. It's important to be authentic with your humor. Trying too hard to be funny or using jokes that don't feel natural to you can backfire and create discomfort. True humor comes from your unique perspective and voice. It reflects your personality and values. When you share humor that aligns with who you are, it resonates more deeply and feels genuine to others. One practical way to cultivate your humor is by paying attention to comedians or speakers you admire. Notice how they build up their jokes, the rhythm they use, and how they engage their audience. Practice telling jokes or funny stories in front of a mirror or to close friends. Notice which types of humor make you laugh and feel good, and which feel forced or fall flat. This experimentation sharpens your sense of what works for you. Humor is also about attitude. When you approach life with a playful mindset and a willingness to see the lighter side, humor flows more naturally. It's a habit of mind that trains you to find joy and amusement, even in challenging circumstances. This perspective not only uplifts you but also radiates outward, influencing those around you. Listening plays a crucial role in humor. To respond with humor that fits the moment, you must be fully present and attentive. You have to catch the cues in conversation, tone of voice, facial expressions, body language that signal whether humor will be welcomed or not. This kind of active listening builds empathy and makes your humor feel timely and appropriate. It's also wise to avoid humor that touches on sensitive topics such as race, religion, gender, or personal tragedies. Humor should never reinforce stereotypes or cause harm. The goal is to connect and uplift, not divide or wound. When in doubt, choose humor that celebrates life's absurdities and common human experiences, rather than targeting individuals or groups. Using humor wisely means embracing vulnerability too. Sometimes the funniest moments arise when you admit your own imperfections or mishaps openly and without shame. Sharing these moments humanizes you and invites others to share their own stories. Vulnerability combined with humor creates powerful bonds of trust and mutual respect. Humor can also serve as a tool for perspective. When you learn to laugh at yourself, you gain distance from your problems. This distance helps you avoid getting trapped in negativity or overthinking. It allows you to face difficulties with a clearer mind and a lighter heart, which leads to better decision-making and emotional balance. Finally, humor is a gift that grows the more you give it. When you make others laugh, you create joy that returns to you multiplied. This positive feedback loop builds relationships, fosters goodwill, and increases your influence. People naturally gravitate toward those who brighten their day and make them feel good. Mastering the wise use of humor is not an overnight achievement. It takes awareness, practice, and a willingness to learn from mistakes. You will stumble, misread cues, and occasionally fall flat. But each attempt teaches you more about yourself and others. Over time, your humor will become a natural extension of your personality, a beacon of light in your interactions. This skill transforms communication from merely exchanging information into a vibrant, engaging, and deeply human experience. When you harness humor with care, you unlock a secret door to connection that few people ever find. You become someone who not only speaks but truly reaches the hearts of those around you. So start today. Notice the small moments that make you smile or chuckle. Share those moments with others and watch how your relationships begin to shift. Let humor be the bridge that links your soul to theirs, the spark that ignites warmth and trust in every conversation. The power to change your world through humor is in your hands. Use it wisely, use it well, and watch how your life transforms. Chapter 15. Adapt your communication style to different personalities. If you want to master the art of influence and deepen every connection you make, the most powerful skill you can develop is the ability to adapt your communication style to the person in front of you. Every person thinks, feels, and reacts in a unique way. What works to inspire one might fall flat, or even cause resistance in another. The secret to truly connecting is to recognize these differences and shift how you communicate so your message lands with impact. This skill separates those who struggle to be understood from those who effortlessly build trust and collaboration everywhere they go. At its core, adapting your communication isn't about changing who you are, it's about respecting and honoring how others process the world. When you meet someone whose personality contrasts sharply with yours, defaulting to your natural style often leads to misunderstanding. A direct, fact-driven approach may overwhelm someone who values empathy and rapport. Conversely, a warm and relational style might feel vague or indecisive to someone who craves clarity and action. Being able to flex between these modes gives you the power to engage anyone. First, you need to develop the skill of observation. The clues to someone's personality show up everywhere, in their body language, tone of voice, choice of words, and even the topics they gravitate toward. Some people speak quickly with high energy, signaling a preference for fast, dynamic interaction. Others may be more reserved, pausing before they respond, which suggests a reflective and thoughtful nature. When you pay attention to these subtle cues, you can begin to tailor your delivery in real time. Another key is understanding the basic personality types. While every individual is unique, there are broad categories that help us frame differences. For example, some people are naturally analytical, prioritizing logic and data. Others are more expressive, driven by emotions and relationships. Some prefer structure and rules, while others seek spontaneity and flexibility. Knowing these tendencies helps you decide whether to focus on facts, emotions, big picture ideas, or step-by-step plans. But don't stop at categorizing. Use that knowledge as a starting point to dig deeper into what motivates each person. What fears, values, and aspirations shape their behavior? When you communicate in a way that aligns with their core drivers, you tap into a deeper connection. For instance, someone motivated by security responds well to reassurance and clear boundaries, while a person driven by achievement wants to hear about goals and progress. Adapting your style also means adjusting your language. The words you choose, the pace you speak at, even the stories you tell should resonate with the listener's mindset. If you're talking to a detail-oriented person, provide specifics and avoid vague generalities. When engaging a visionary type, focus on possibilities and future outcomes rather than minute details. This linguistic flexibility shows respect for how others think and creates an immediate bond. Listening plays an indispensable role in adaptation. True listening goes beyond waiting for your turn to speak. It's about being present, open and curious about the other person's perspective. When you listen attentively, you pick up signals that tell you if you're connecting or if you need to pivot. Responding to those signals with empathy builds rapport and demonstrates that you value the other's experience. Patience is critical in this process. Changing your communication style doesn't happen overnight. It requires practice and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. You will sometimes misread cues or feel awkward in a new approach. But each interaction is an opportunity to learn and refine your skill. Over time, this flexibility becomes second nature and your relationships flourish as a result. Being adaptable also means being authentic. This might sound like a contradiction, but it's not. Authenticity doesn't mean rigidly sticking to one way of expressing yourself. It means communicating from a place of honesty while respecting the needs of others. You can remain true to your values and personality while adjusting the way you present your message. This balance builds trust because people sense sincerity even when your style shifts. It's important to avoid stereotypes or assumptions when adapting. While personality frameworks are helpful, they are only guides, not boxes to trap people in. Approach each interaction with an open mind, ready to discover what makes this person unique. Ask questions and invite them to share their preferences. This curiosity deepens your understanding and shows respect for their individuality. Conflict or disagreement often arises from mismatched communication styles. When you take the time to adapt, you reduce misunderstandings and diffuse tension before it escalates. You create space for productive dialogue instead of defensiveness. This ability is invaluable in both personal and professional contexts, where emotions can run high and stakes are significant. Adapting also requires you to manage your own mindset. Let go of the need to be right or always in control. Focus instead on connection and shared goals. When your intention is to understand and support rather than dominate, you open the door to meaningful exchange. This shift in perspective creates a safe environment where honest conversations can unfold. The benefits of adapting your communication go far beyond better relationships. It enhances your leadership presence, increases your influence, and empowers you to navigate complex social dynamics with grace. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel seen and understood. You become a bridge between diverse perspectives and a catalyst for collaboration. Practice adapting in everyday moments. Notice how different friends, family members, or colleagues respond to your words. Try varying your approach intentionally and observe the outcomes. Experiment with tone, pace, and content. Reflect on what feels effective and what doesn't. Over time, this practice builds a deep reservoir of communication skills that serve you in any situation. Remember that communication is a two-way street. While you adapt your style, encourage others to do the same. Foster environments where open, respectful dialogue is the norm. When everyone learns to meet each other halfway, relationships become richer and more resilient. Ultimately, adapting your communication style is about honoring the diversity of human experience. It's about stepping out of yourself to truly meet another person where they are. This requires humility, empathy, and a commitment to growth. But the rewards are immense: deeper trust, clearer understanding, and a powerful ability to influence and inspire. This skill transforms your interactions from routine exchanges into meaningful connections that fuel your success and fulfillment. When you master the art of adaptation, you don't just communicate, you connect, you lead, and you empower. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to build bridges, break down barriers, and create lasting impact. Begin today by observing without judgment, listening without interruption, and speaking with intention. Each interaction is a chance to practice and improve. With persistence and awareness, you will find yourself naturally shifting to meet others' needs, turning every encounter into a moment of connection and growth. Your ability to adapt your communication style is not just a skill to learn, it is a powerful way to prove yourself to yourself, showing that you can rise above limitations and connect deeply with the world around you. Use it well and watch as doors open, relationships deepen, and your influence expands beyond what you ever imagined possible. Chapter 16. Build resilience by learning from social setbacks and failures. Failure is not the end. It's the foundation upon which resilience is built, especially when it comes to the social setbacks that test your spirit and shape your character. Every person experiences moments when their social efforts don't go as planned. Invitations declined, conversations that fall flat, misunderstandings that cause rifts. These are not signs of defeat, but opportunities to grow stronger. Resilience is the muscle you develop when you choose to learn from these experiences instead of letting them break your confidence. The first step in building resilience is to change how you perceive setbacks. Rather than seeing them as personal flaws or permanent failures, recognize them as essential feedback. When a social interaction doesn't yield the result you hoped for, pause and reflect on what happened without judgment. What went wrong? What could have been different? This kind of honest self-examination opens the door to meaningful growth. It's crucial to separate your self-worth from social outcomes. A single rejection or awkward moment does not define who you are. Instead, it is one chapter in your ongoing story. Remind yourself that every person, no matter how confident they appear, has stumbled in social situations. This shared human experience is not a weakness but a starting point for learning. Building resilience requires emotional awareness. When faced with disappointment or criticism, allow yourself to feel those emotions fully instead of pushing them aside or pretending they don't matter. Acknowledge frustration, sadness, or embarrassment, but do not dwell in them. Use these feelings as signals guiding you to what needs attention and improvement. One of the most powerful tools for bouncing back from social setbacks is cultivating a growth mindset. This means believing that your abilities to connect, communicate, and influence are not fixed traits, but skills that can be developed through effort and practice. With this mindset, every failure becomes a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Learning from social failures also means seeking perspective. Sometimes what feels like a disaster in the moment will seem trivial later. Other times, an honest conversation with a trusted friend or mentor can reveal blind spots or offer encouragement that reignites your motivation. Surround yourself with people who support your growth, not just those who offer empty praise. Resilience is strengthened when you actively take responsibility for your role in social setbacks. This does not mean blaming yourself harshly, but rather owning your actions and choices. What could you have done differently? How can you prepare better next time? This sense of accountability fuels improvement and keeps you from falling into the trap of victimhood. At the same time, recognize that not all failures are within your control. Sometimes other people's moods, misunderstandings, or external circumstances create barriers. Learning to accept what you cannot change while focusing on what you can control is essential to maintaining your emotional balance. Practical experience is the greatest teacher. The more you put yourself in social situations, whether networking events, casual gatherings, or challenging conversations, the more opportunities you have to learn. Each interaction is a laboratory for testing new approaches, observing reactions, and fine-tuning your social skills. It's also helpful to keep a record of your social experiences. Writing down what worked, what didn't, and how you felt afterward creates a valuable archive to track your progress. Over time, you'll notice patterns and growth that can boost your confidence during tough moments. Resilience involves more than mental toughness. It requires self-compassion. Be kind to yourself when you falter. Celebrate small victories and milestones, no matter how modest they seem. This positive reinforcement builds a foundation of inner strength that carries you through challenges. When setbacks feel overwhelming, use visualization techniques to prepare for future interactions. Picture yourself handling difficult situations with calm and confidence. Mentally rehearse responses and scenarios. This mental practice primes your brain to act with resilience when real moments arrive. Social resilience also means developing flexibility in your approach. If one way of connecting doesn't work, try another. Be curious about different communication styles, cultural norms, and personality types. The more adaptable you are, the more you expand your capacity to build meaningful relationships. Avoid the trap of isolation after a social setback. It's tempting to withdraw to protect yourself from further disappointment, but this only weakens resilience. Instead, use setbacks as a signal to reach out and deepen connections. Honest vulnerability with others often leads to support and shared wisdom. Another key aspect of resilience is learning to manage rejection gracefully. Understand that rejection often says more about the other person's needs or circumstances than your worth. When you can depersonalize rejection and respond with grace, you preserve your dignity and open the door to future opportunities. Building resilience also involves developing a sense of purpose in your social interactions. When you know why you want to connect, to learn, to grow, to contribute, you anchor yourself in something larger than momentary setbacks. This sense of meaning fuels persistence and keeps you moving forward. Embrace patience as you build resilience. Change rarely happens overnight. Some lessons take time to internalize. The key is consistent effort and a refusal to give up, even when progress feels slow. Each experience, successful or not, adds to your reservoir of strength. Look to examples of resilience in others for inspiration. Stories of people who faced repeated social failures yet rose to become influential connectors show that persistence and learning can overcome almost any obstacle. Their journeys remind you that setbacks are part of the path to mastery. In moments of doubt, remind yourself that resilience is a choice. You decide whether to let setbacks define you or to use them as fuel for growth. This mindset shift is transformative. It empowers you to turn adversity into advantage. Remember that social resilience is not about being perfect. It's about showing up, making mistakes, learning and trying again with greater wisdom. The courage to continue despite failures is the true mark of strength. The skills you develop by learning from social setbacks ripple into all areas of life. Increased confidence, better emotional regulation, sharper communication skills, and deeper empathy all come from facing challenges head-on and refusing to be defeated. Ultimately, building resilience through social failures shapes you into a more authentic, grounded and compassionate person. It teaches you humility, patience, and the power of persistence. When you embrace this journey fully, you not only improve your relationships, you transform your relationship with yourself. Every setback is a hidden opportunity to prove your resilience. By facing social failures with openness, reflection, and commitment to growth, you create a life where challenges become stepping stones and setbacks fuel your rise. This is how you build unshakable strength, not just for social success but for life itself. Chapter 17. Embrace vulnerability to create genuine and lasting connections. True connection begins when you dare to show your authentic self, even if it means revealing your vulnerabilities. The courage to be vulnerable is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate strength. When you lower your defenses and share your genuine thoughts, fears, and emotions, you invite others into a space of honesty and trust. This openness paves the way for connections that are deep, real, and lasting. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as exposing flaws or risking judgment, but it is actually about embracing your full humanity without apology. It is the willingness to be seen as imperfect, to admit doubts, and to share experiences that touch your heart. This act of bravery fosters intimacy in relationships that surface-level conversations cannot reach. People instinctively respond to sincerity. When you communicate with openness, it signals that you are approachable and trustworthy. This makes others feel safe to drop their own masks and share their truths, creating a powerful cycle of mutual understanding. The beauty of vulnerability lies in this shared experience of being real. One barrier to embracing vulnerability is the fear of rejection. Yet, hiding behind walls to avoid rejection often leads to isolation and superficial connections. When you take the risk to be vulnerable, you may face disappointment sometimes, but you also open the door to genuine acceptance and support from those who truly matter. Authenticity starts within. Before you can invite others into your vulnerability, you must be willing to sit with your own feelings honestly. This means recognizing your fears, insecurities, and hopes without judgment. Self-awareness creates a foundation from which you can share openly without being overwhelmed. Vulnerability is not about oversharing indiscriminately. It requires discernment. Knowing when and with whom to open up is key. Choose people who have demonstrated empathy and respect. When shared in a safe context, vulnerability builds trust rather than exposing you to harm. Practicing vulnerability also means accepting the discomfort that comes with it. Sharing personal truths can make you feel exposed or uncertain, but leaning into that discomfort is where growth happens. Over time, what once felt risky becomes easier, and your confidence in authentic communication grows. The willingness to be vulnerable encourages empathy from others. When you reveal your struggles or fears, you remind those around you that everyone faces challenges. This recognition breaks down barriers and fosters compassion, which deepens relationships beyond surface interactions. Vulnerability allows for more meaningful conversations. Instead of sticking to safe topics, you open doors to discuss values, dreams, and fears. These discussions reveal layers of personality and create connections grounded in shared human experience rather than superficial exchanges. Showing vulnerability in leadership or influence builds respect and loyalty. Leaders who admit mistakes and share challenges inspire others to be honest and engaged. This transparency creates environments where creativity and collaboration flourish. The practice of vulnerability is a continuous journey. It doesn't mean you will be open about everything at all times, but rather that you cultivate a habit of authenticity. This habit nurtures resilience because it builds a sense of belonging and support, which sustains you through life's ups and downs. Sharing your story, including the parts you once felt ashamed of, can be liberating. It transforms pain into power by giving meaning to your experiences and connecting with others who relate. Stories of vulnerability inspire courage and foster communities where people feel seen and heard. Remember, vulnerability is not synonymous with weakness. It is a gateway to strength. It demands courage to face uncertainty and emotional risk. This courage strengthens your self-esteem because it anchors your identity in truth rather than perfection. To embrace vulnerability, start small. Share a personal insight or feeling in a conversation where it feels appropriate. Notice the responses you receive and how it shifts the dynamic. With each experience, your ability to connect authentically grows. Learning to listen vulnerably is equally important. When someone else shares their truth, resist the urge to judge or fix. Instead, offer your full presence and empathy. This reciprocal openness creates a safe space for both parties to thrive. Cultivating vulnerability involves letting go of control over how others perceive you. This liberation frees you from the exhausting cycle of people-pleasing and fear of criticism. When you accept yourself fully, others are more likely to accept you too. The fear of vulnerability often stems from childhood conditioning or past hurts. Healing these wounds through reflection or professional support can release barriers to authentic connection. The more healed you become, the easier it is to show up as your true self. Vulnerability enriches romantic relationships profoundly. Partners who share openly create emotional intimacy that builds trust and mutual respect. This depth strengthens bonds and creates a secure foundation for lasting love. In friendships, vulnerability allows for real understanding. When you express your true feelings and listen deeply, friendships move beyond surface-level interactions into genuine support networks. These connections become sources of strength in difficult times. Vulnerability can also enhance professional relationships. When colleagues are open about challenges and uncertainties, teamwork improves. Honest communication reduces misunderstandings and promotes creative problem-solving. Social media often encourages curated, polished images of life that mask vulnerability. Choosing to share authentic moments online can foster connection and inspire others. It reminds us that behind every highlight reel are real people with real struggles. Physical presence supports vulnerability. Eye contact, open posture, and a calm voice invite trust and signal sincerity. Non-verbal cues often communicate authenticity more powerfully than words alone. Practicing vulnerability may challenge deeply held beliefs about strength and success. Society often rewards stoicism and perfection, but true influence comes from being relatable and genuine. This shift in mindset opens new possibilities for connection. Ultimately, vulnerability is a gift you give yourself and others. It creates relationships based on truth rather than pretense. These connections enrich your life with meaning, joy, and a sense of belonging. By embracing vulnerability, you step into a life where you are seen fully and loved genuinely. This is the foundation for happiness, growth, and fulfillment. Let go of fear, open your heart, and watch your relationships transform. Chapter 18. Practice patience and presence to fully engage with others. True connection demands more than just being physically present. It requires the profound practice of patience and wholehearted presence in every interaction. In a world that moves at relentless speed, rushing conversations and multitasking during moments meant for connection have become the norm. But real engagement happens only when you slow down and give your full attention to the person in front of you. This is where patience becomes a powerful tool. Patience is not merely waiting. It is an active choice to honor the pace of others and the flow of genuine dialogue. It means resisting the urge to interrupt, to finish sentences, or to push for quick answers. Instead, you embrace silence, allow ideas to unfold naturally, and create space for thoughts and feelings to emerge authentically. Presence is the act of bringing your full self, mind, body, and spirit into the moment. It demands focusing your awareness entirely on the other person, setting aside distractions, judgments, and preconceived notions. This kind of presence tells the other person they are valued and respected beyond words. When you practice patience and presence, you communicate something deeper than language alone can express. Your calm demeanor, attentive gaze, and receptive posture signal that you are fully engaged and open. This kind of attention fosters trust and encourages others to share more openly. Many people have grown accustomed to being listened to with only half of someone's attention. They crave real listening, an experience that validates their thoughts and feelings. Offering patience and presence fulfills this craving and elevates your relationships to a higher level of authenticity. The impact of patient presence is felt immediately. Conversations flow more smoothly because both parties feel understood rather than rushed. This creates a foundation where meaningful ideas can be exchanged and emotional bonds can be nurtured. In challenging conversations, patience serves as a buffer against reactivity. Instead of reacting impulsively to triggering words or emotions, you create space to process and respond thoughtfully. This approach diffuses tension and opens the door to resolution and understanding. Practicing presence is a skill that requires consistent effort. Our minds wander, distractions abound, and patience can wear thin. Recognizing when your focus drifts is the first step to reclaiming it. Gently bringing yourself back to the conversation without self-judgment builds this muscle over time. Patience also teaches acceptance. People have different communication styles and rhythms. Some think quickly and speak rapidly. Others take longer to express themselves. Meeting people where they are, without pushing for speed, respects their individuality and encourages genuine exchange. When you are truly present, you notice subtle cues beyond words, tone, body language, eye movement, that reveal deeper layers of meaning. This heightened awareness allows you to respond with empathy and insight, enriching the connection further. Presence is not passive. It is an active engagement that invites curiosity and openness. Asking thoughtful questions, reflecting feelings, and summarizing what you hear demonstrate that you are tracking the conversation closely and care deeply about understanding. Patience can be tested in situations where others struggle to articulate their thoughts, or when conversations become emotionally charged. Staying calm and grounded models stability and safety, which helps others feel secure enough to open up. Modern technology can challenge our ability to be present. Devices demand attention and fragment our focus. Choosing to set aside phones, turn off notifications, and dedicate uninterrupted time to interactions honors the sacredness of human connection. Presence enhances not only verbal communication, but also physical intimacy. Simple acts like a warm smile, a gentle touch, or sustained eye contact convey attentiveness and care. These gestures deepen bonds beyond spoken words. Practicing patience and presence also enriches your self-awareness. It requires tuning into your own reactions, judgments, and impulses. By observing yourself in the moment, you gain insight into what distracts or unsettles you, creating opportunities for growth. The quality of your relationships reflects the quality of your attention. By offering your full presence, you foster connections based on trust, respect, and understanding, rather than superficial exchanges or distractions. In professional settings, patience and presence improve collaboration and leadership. Leaders who listen attentively and allow space for ideas cultivate innovation and loyalty. Teams thrive when members feel heard and valued. Children and loved ones benefit profoundly from patient presence. When you slow down to truly engage with them, you validate their experiences and build emotional security. This presence nurtures confidence and strengthens bonds. Presence is a gift you give, not only to others but to yourself. It anchors you in the present moment, reducing anxiety about the past or future. This mindfulness fosters peace and clarity that extend beyond the interaction. Practicing patience requires understanding that connection cannot be rushed. Meaningful conversations often unfold gradually and unpredictably. Embracing this process invites deeper discovery and mutual respect. Presence helps you resist the temptation to impose your own agenda or assumptions. Instead, you open to learning and adapting as the conversation evolves. This flexibility enhances understanding and connection. True listening is a cornerstone of presence. It means hearing not just the words but the emotions and intentions behind them. This deeper hearing strengthens empathy and validates the speaker's experience. Sometimes presence means sitting with silence comfortably, allowing space for reflection. Silence can be powerful in communication, giving both parties room to process and respond thoughtfully. Practicing patience and presence transforms routine interactions into moments of connection and growth. Simple conversations become opportunities to build trust, learn from others, and deepen relationships. Over time, these practices cultivate emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions in yourself and others. Emotional intelligence is key to effective communication and lasting connection. When you commit to being patient and present, you become a source of calm and stability in relationships. Others are drawn to your centered energy and find comfort in your presence. Presence invites gratitude. By slowing down to truly engage, you notice qualities and details about others you might have missed in hurried exchanges. This appreciation strengthens bonds and fosters positivity. The effort you put into patience and presence multiplies in the quality of your relationships and your own well-being. The rewards are profound: deeper trust, greater understanding, and a more fulfilling life. In every encounter, you have the power to choose patience and presence. This choice transforms communication from a transactional exchange into a rich human experience. By mastering these skills, you unlock the door to genuine connection and meaningful relationships that nourish your soul and inspire your growth. Embrace patience and presence as your greatest communication gifts. Chapter 19. Use feedback to continuously improve your speaking skills. The path to mastery in speaking is paved by those who listen closely, not just to themselves, but to others who offer honest, constructive feedback. Improving your ability to communicate with clarity, confidence, and impact doesn't come from talent alone. It grows when you welcome insight from outside yourself, especially the feedback that challenges your current approach. Feedback is not criticism to fear, but a vital tool that sharpens your skills and refines your message. At its core, Feedback reveals blind spots. It shines light on habits and patterns you may be unaware of, like speaking too quickly, losing your audience's attention, or overusing filler words. Without this perspective, it's easy to repeat the same mistakes, thinking you're making progress when in reality you might be going in circles. The willingness to seek and embrace feedback is what separates those who grow from those who plateau. But feedback isn't always easy to receive. Our natural defenses want to protect our ego. Hearing that something in our speaking style falls short can trigger discomfort or denial. This is precisely why developing the right mindset is crucial. View feedback as a gift, a tool for your evolution, rather than a judgment on your worth. When you shift to this perspective, you free yourself to listen openly and act deliberately. The process of using feedback effectively starts with asking the right people. Choose listeners who are honest, knowledgeable, and invested in your growth. Trusted mentors, colleagues, or coaches who understand your goals can offer insights that resonate with your journey. Equally important is selecting feedback that is specific and actionable, not vague or overly generalized. Once you receive feedback, don't rush to respond or explain. Take time to absorb it fully. Reflect on what resonates with you and identify areas that seem most impactful to improve. Sometimes feedback will highlight multiple areas. Prioritize what will create the most noticeable difference in your speaking. It's essential to break down feedback into manageable steps. If you try to fix everything at once, progress will feel overwhelming and unsustainable. Focus on one or two key elements at a time, whether it's improving your tone, managing pacing, or enhancing your body language. This focused approach builds momentum and helps integrate changes naturally. Practicing new speaking techniques with conscious effort is where transformation happens. Record yourself, rehearse in front of friends, or join speaking groups where you can experiment with the changes suggested. The act of repeating and refining builds confidence and internalizes improvements, so they become second nature. Tracking your progress creates motivation. Keep a journal or log where you note the feedback received, the changes you're implementing, and how your delivery evolves. Celebrate small victories, whether it's a clearer message, stronger connection with your audience, or greater ease in expressing ideas. The journey of improving speaking skills is not linear. There will be setbacks and moments when old habits resurface. This is normal and expected. The key is persistence, returning to feedback, reassessing, and recommitting to growth without harsh self-judgment. Engaging with diverse feedback broadens your perspective. Different audiences have varying expectations and preferences. What resonates with one group may fall flat with another. Being open to varied input teaches adaptability and sharpens your ability to connect across contexts. Sometimes feedback challenges you to stretch beyond your comfort zone. Maybe you're encouraged to be more expressive, take pauses for effect, or simplify complex ideas. These challenges are invitations to expand your capabilities and deepen your impact. Constructive feedback also includes non-verbal communication. Observers might notice distracting gestures, lack of eye contact, or unclear facial expressions. Addressing these subtle details enhances the authenticity and power of your message. A growth mindset keeps you curious and motivated. Instead of fearing feedback as a threat, you see it as a roadmap toward mastery. This mindset fuels resilience when progress feels slow and keeps you engaged in lifelong learning. Incorporating feedback requires humility. Recognizing that there's always room to improve keeps complacency at bay and inspires continuous self-exploration. This humility opens doors to meaningful dialogue and mentorship, accelerating your development. Feedback loops are most effective when they become a regular practice rather than a one-time event. Seek ongoing input after presentations, meetings, or practice sessions. This rhythm ensures steady refinement and prevents stagnation. Beyond seeking external feedback, learn to self-assess critically. Recording your speeches or conversations allows you to observe yourself objectively. Compare your self-observations with external feedback to gain a fuller picture of your strengths and growth areas. Learning from public speaking experts and studying effective communicators complements personalized feedback. Analyze what makes their delivery compelling, tone, pacing, storytelling, and experiment with integrating these elements into your style. Balance is important. While feedback guides improvement, don't lose your authentic voice trying to please everyone. Use feedback to polish your delivery, not to become a different person. Authenticity is what truly connects with audiences. Encourage those around you to share feedback openly by creating a safe and supportive environment. Express appreciation for honest insights, which fosters trust and invites more meaningful input. Feedback can also enhance your listening skills. Receiving it attentively models the kind of listening you wish to embody in your speaking engagements. This mutual exchange deepens communication and rapport. Remember that feedback is a dynamic dialogue, not a final verdict. Ask clarifying questions if something is unclear or if you want suggestions on how to improve specific aspects. Engaging in this conversation deepens understanding. When you embrace feedback with openness, you cultivate a mindset of growth that extends beyond speaking. It shapes how you approach challenges in all areas of life, turning obstacles into opportunities. The most skilled speakers you admire have all been shaped by feedback. Their journeys involve trial, error, and continual refinement. Their mastery reflects dedication to learning and courage to face criticism head-on. By making feedback an integral part of your communication practice, you accelerate your growth and build confidence. Each insight you integrate expands your ability to inspire, influence, and connect meaningfully. In the end, improving your speaking is not about perfection but progress. Feedback lights the way, guiding you through the maze of self-improvement toward a more powerful and authentic expression of yourself. Your voice is your instrument, and feedback is the tuning fork that brings it into harmony. Embrace it fully and watch your communication skills soar to new heights. Chapter 20. Commit daily to practicing and refining your communication. Mastery in communication is not born overnight. It is forged through relentless daily practice and a fierce commitment to improvement. Every great speaker, every influential leader, and every person who commands attention with their words has dedicated themselves to the craft, hour after hour, day after day. Communication is a skill that thrives on consistency, not luck or mere talent. If you want your voice to carry power, clarity, and confidence, you must treat it like a muscle that needs daily exercise. When you commit to practicing your communication regularly, you build momentum that propels you forward. It's easy to underestimate how much small, consistent efforts compound over time. A few minutes every day spent refining your tone, your choice of words, or your ability to listen deeply creates profound shifts that are almost invisible in the moment, but unmistakable when looking back weeks or months later. The act of daily practice requires discipline. It means showing up even on days when motivation wanes, when you feel tired or doubtful. Discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement, and it is your ally in turning potential into reality. Communication, like any art, demands your attention and care, not just when you feel inspired, but especially when it feels hard. A powerful approach to daily practice is to create intentional habits that integrate communication exercises seamlessly into your routine. This could be as simple as dedicating time each morning to read aloud, refining your pronunciation and flow, or journaling your thoughts to clarify your message. It might involve rehearsing a presentation in front of a mirror or recording yourself and listening critically. The key is consistency paired with deliberate focus on improving specific elements. Every interaction with others becomes an opportunity to practice. Conversations, meetings, casual chats, they are all training grounds. Approach them with mindfulness and curiosity. Notice how your words land, how your body language supports or undermines your message, and how effectively you listen in return. This awareness builds your skill far beyond isolated practice sessions. Growth accelerates when you set clear goals. Identify what aspects of communication you want to refine. Is it reducing filler words, mastering pauses, enhancing storytelling, or strengthening empathy in conversations? Breaking down your growth into clear targets makes daily practice purposeful and rewarding. Reflection is essential. At the end of each day, take a moment to review how you communicated. What moments went well? Where did you stumble? What can you do differently tomorrow? This simple habit of self-assessment deepens your learning and anchors improvement in real experience rather than abstract theory. Seeking feedback should be part of your daily commitment. Invite trusted friends, colleagues, or mentors to observe your communication and offer insights. Feedback from others provides fresh perspectives that you might miss and keeps your progress honest and grounded. Remember, communication is not only about speaking, but also about listening. Practice active listening daily by giving your full attention, withholding judgment, and responding thoughtfully. This sharpens your ability to engage authentically and enhances your overall effectiveness. A significant part of refining communication is embracing mistakes as stepping stones rather than failures. Every misstep reveals something to learn. When you stumble in conversation or lose your train of thought, view it as valuable data, not a setback. This mindset keeps your practice constructive and your spirit resilient. Variety in practice stimulates growth. Challenge yourself with different formats: impromptu speaking, storytelling, persuasive arguments, or teaching others. Exploring diverse styles strengthens your adaptability and broadens your communication toolbox. Your environment impacts your ability to practice consistently. Surround yourself with people who value communication and support your efforts. Join groups, clubs, or communities that encourage public speaking or debate. Engaging in collective practice amplifies motivation and provides real-time opportunities to test your skills. Technology offers powerful tools to aid daily refinement. Use apps that help with voice modulation, speech pacing, or vocabulary building. Record yourself regularly to monitor progress and adjust your approach with precision. Digital tools make feedback and practice more accessible and measurable. Sustaining daily practice requires a balance between effort and rest. Overtraining your communication skills without pauses can lead to burnout or frustration. Be attentive to your energy levels and allow moments for recovery. Reflection and rest are part of growth, enabling deeper absorption of lessons. Patience is your ally in this journey. The transformation in your communication may be gradual and sometimes imperceptible. Trust the process and keep showing up. Each day of effort plants seeds that eventually blossom into confident, impactful expression. Celebrate progress, no matter how small. Acknowledge the days when you spoke with clarity, connected deeply, or handled challenging conversations gracefully. These victories fuel your commitment and remind you why daily practice matters. As you deepen your practice, you develop not just skill but presence, the ability to engage fully, speak authentically, and inspire others. This presence grows from steady dedication and manifests in every word you choose and every pause you make. Eventually, daily practice becomes less of a chore and more of a natural part of your life. It becomes a way to sharpen not just your speaking, but your thinking, your relationships, and your confidence. Communication evolves from a task to a joyful expression of your unique voice. Never underestimate the power of small, consistent actions repeated daily. This is the secret behind every accomplished communicator you admire. They didn't rely on moments of brilliance, but on the steady grind of daily practice, refinement, and self-belief.